Hello and welcome to the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always, I'm joined by Whip. Say hello.
Hello.
And I am also joined by Drummer Matt. Say hello.
Hello.
Now, I don't know if you gentlemen happen to know this, but this is a very special episode of the MisanthroPod we've got here. It's episode 69.
Nice.
So with that in mind, how are you incredibly nice gentlemen doing today?
I am doing okay. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. I'm nice and tight.
Oh.
Snipe.
Well,
That's more information than I needed.
I'm pretty good, actually. Thank you.
You don't wish to go into the level of specificity that Matt did?
No, but I appreciate his transparency.
Yeah.
You know, in the interest of, Well,
Full disclosure, Drummer Matt is nice and toit, I think he said.
yes, toit.
He may be looser by the end of the podcast, but right now...
He's just loosening up, it's fine.
Okay, Shall I just go over the little bit of general housekeeping we've got to do?
I think that might be a good idea, because
Okay.
take me away from all this.
Not much to go over, except we were on Adeptus Podcastus again.
They let us on to ruin their beautiful podcast once more.
They
Hey,
let you back.
Yeah.
I know, shocking,
they're
isn't it?
too nice. Rem and Michael are too nice.
So if you wish to hear us talk more exclusively about the Warhammered 40,000 universe, then go on over to, I believe this episode is on 40k Theories channel, so yeah, go over and check that out. It's episode 61, and we talk about some stuff, namely the stuff that was all released recently, so Gene Stealer cults, models,
New models,
and,
all that good stuff.
yeah, bits and pieces. So yeah, go check that out if you haven't already listened to it, which chances are you have, but you know, it'd be silly not to mention it.
Terribly silly.
Terribly silly. Oh, and as we mentioned in the last episode, we will be covering the special Choose Your Own Adventure episode of Black Mirror Bandersnatch at the end of this episode.
After all the questions and everything.
After all the questions and stuff, we'll talk about it. So if you've not actually got around to watching it or playing it, however you want to really
consuming it as a form of media.
If you haven't got round to it, then you don't have to listen to the end of the podcast, because that's where it'll be. But if you have, then you can listen to us talk about it. Or if you just don't care about spoilers, I guess.
Yeah.
You could also listen to it.
Whatever, we're not your parents. I mean, Drummer Matt is, but
All
you know,
we ask is that you smash that like button. Actually, you do what you want. You have autonomy as a person.
Don't forget to ring that bell.
You don't have to ring the bell. I mean, if you want to, feel free. But like, we're not your parents.
I mean, Drummer Matt is, but
No, he's their daddy.
you're the daddy.
Or is he the mummy?
He could be if he wanted to be.
I know.
He's father.
I was talking. I was kind of going for a more kink thing.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
mean to shame you. I apologise.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on away from this part of the conversation.
Yes, no. Wib, what have you been up to?
I have been up to not actually that much, honestly.
This is a Misanthropod first.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure what I've been up to. It's one of those sort of fortnights where you sit there and go, I'm sure I've been doing things, but I can't.
We have been doing things. Just we've been very busy and haven't done many video gamey things.
Yeah, I've not really. Apart from I played some Overwatch,
because we want that Anna skin.
Yeah, that's. But you get to have an Anna with kitty ears. So.
I know, it's so good and I need it, even though I probably won't even play it until the next event after that.
That's quite possible. I did actually get to the end of Mechanicus, because I wondered, so even though I beat the end boss, I wondered what would happen when you got to 100%. It turns out you just have to go then fight the end boss.
Even if you've already fought the end boss?
You don't. The game doesn't save after you've beaten the end boss. The game ends. Which I guess makes sense, but, you know... So it doesn't endlessly continue. So if the devs are listening,
because they are, we know you're listening,
and I know they're not, then please put an endless version of the game in, or at least allow me to continue afterwards, because I just want to keep playing. And it ending abruptly like that is my biggest complaint about the game at this point.
Just no replayability, huh?
Well, no, there's replayability.
Well, I mean, but you can't, like, continue with your characters,
Yeah,
so that's literally basically no replayability.
I mean, you can replay the campaign as many times as you want.
No.
Yeah.
Nope, you can't. It's not the way it works. Sorry. The devs are listening, they can confirm.
But anyway, I've been getting back on my painting of models and stuff. If you follow me on Twitter, you will have seen my first couple of miniatures of 2019. I'm already 2 down, which, you know, I don't think I painted anything last year until about June. So
yeah.
I'm way ahead of last year, and I'm like several models like work in progress at this point. Currently trying to figure out a colour scheme for my Gene Stealer cults from Kill Team. And I think what I'm going to come up with is going to be horrible, but that's fine.
Because so are Gene Stealer cults.
It'll be a learning process.
It's going to be purple. Calling it now.
Yeah, but that's kind of their colours anyway, so...
They're going to have purple carapace.
See? Told you.
But that's because I wanted to have them... yeah,
what do you win?
Gene Stealers are a bit purpley anyway. Their actual armour's like grey and green, is what I'm actually doing.
Yeah, draw a mat. Dark face.
But the only piece of media that I wish to talk about is some Star Trek, shockingly.
Oh, no.
But it's some new Star Trek that I actually didn't realise existed until like a week ago.
Ah, yes.
So they have been releasing in between the 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery, because the next season of it comes out, I believe, on the 17th. Because 1701, it's got the Enterprise in it.
That makes... okay.
You know, the one that Luke Skywalker's driving all the time?
The best part is that doesn't even make sense with the weird American date system. Like, 0117, what? But anyway, so yeah, they've been releasing these short Trek episodes, and there's 4 of them.
I like that.
And I just want to say up front, it's really fucking annoying. There is literally no legal way to watch them anywhere that's not the United States or Canada. And currently there are no...
Copyright is always sensible. What are you talking about?
And there's currently seemingly no plans to make them viewable either.
I mean, I get it. It's not as if Star Trek is like a fucking household name or anything.
I know. It's almost as if all of these companies splintering off and having their own subscription services is not in fact to give the consumer choice.
I mean, yeah, but we're only like 10 minutes in. Reel it back a little bit. We need to slowly put those things out.
I'll leave my capitalist critiques for later in the podcast when people will stop listening.
Someone's just going to skip ahead to like 30 minutes and like, and that's why we should abolish the state.
Anyway, so
moving on.
Yeah. So I watched them on like fucking Daily Motion or something, because what else am I supposed to fucking do? Like, so unfortunately I didn't get to watch them at nice high resolution. I'm sure somewhere out there has like nice high res versions of them, but like, I'm old. I'm too old to pirate stuff properly.
Yeah, just don't. It just looks like you haven't put your glasses on. It's fine.
Yeah, just stand further away from the screen. It looks the same. Anyway, there's 4 episodes, and I'm not going to spoil, like... I'll give, like, a general synopsis of what each one is about, but I won't spoil any, like, actual proper elements of them, because they're only, like, 10 to 15 minutes apiece, so if you want to watch them...
They are quite short treks.
Yeah, if you want to watch them and you can watch them, you know, it's available to you, or you're willing to go through the hoops of trying to find them somewhere in some illegitimate hive on the internet somewhere, then, you know... knock yourself out. I do think there's at least one of them is really good. Because one of the problems with Star Trek Discovery, I feel, was that once you get past the thing of just starting to treat it like it's canonically nothing to do with old Star Trek, and once you do, you'll be way happier. But one of the big problems is it was all a slave to an overarching narrative, so... The
biggest problem with it is that it was a sequel, a prequel, as opposed to a sequel.
Well, I mean, there's that as well, but what I mean is that this new take on Star Trek, you didn't get much time to kind of explore in, because all previous Star Treks, even the ones that have had more overarching stories going on, a lot of the early stuff has been, like, non-serialized. It's just been... individual little stories, so you get introduced to the characters, you get to know them. And whilst I understand why they went for a fully serialized kind of thing, there was like 1 or 2 stories that episodes in the whole run of Discovery season 1 that could have happened anywhere, or more accurately, weren't like necessary for the overarching story. Nearly everything else was, and it did mean that you didn't necessarily get to a good grips of how it was going to do Star Trek before being launched into a story. And I think they may have done a little bit better if they'd had a few of those, especially because Star Trek historically has always been that. Like, even the things that have had overarching narratives, like the latter bits of DS9 or Season 3 of Enterprise, or even Voyager as a whole, which does have an overarching kind of story, they've had so many individual little episodes to just tackle little ideas, and they couldn't really do that in Discovery, which I think is one of the reasons why it stopped feeling like Trek at times. And by times, I mean quite a lot. But I grew to kind of live with it. I've actually got a video idea in the back of my head, which is basically talking about how I learned to tolerate Star Trek Discovery.
That's maybe a bit of a loaded title. Work with it.
It's actually going to be a fairly positive thing about how watching Star Trek Discovery made me realise how caring too much about fictional universes canon just makes your life a lot harder, and sometimes you just gotta let things go, and you'll be happier for it. Love what you do, and if a bit in a fictional universe comes out you don't like, you don't have to pay attention to it, and you'll be happier if you do that, rather than getting angry about it.
Yeah. I still reserve the right to get mad about Hanzo, though, because it's fun to occasionally get mad about something.
Nothing is above critique, but it's not worth getting personally angry about something changing, you know?
Yeah, unless it's
my
Hanzo.
Point. Okay, let's put Hanzo to one side, because that's
what I've been asking.
That's an issue for you, I'm aware.
Put him down.
Anyway, these short treks. So 4 episodes. The first one is called Runaway, and it's about Tilly. It's set post season 1 because she's an ensign now.
Yeah.
And an alien stowaway gets on the ship.
Is she an ensign, or is she a non-commissioned officer?
No, she's a proper ensign, because she was a cadet in the first season.
I didn't really pay attention to it, so that's why I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, she's a full-blown ensign now.
Cool. That's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, and Tilly's pretty rad. Yeah. She has a bit of, like, it's just nice, you know, to have like a more varied array of people in Star Trek, honestly. So yeah, it's good. The first one has its problems because it runs through a narrative really quickly, because it's like, 12, 13 minutes long. It runs through a thing in near real time, so it does kind of run through the plot really quickly. So it's a little condensed.
It's kind of like speed running it.
Yeah, it's speed running it. You could have made a full episode out of it, and it would have worked better, honestly. But you know what? It's an interesting little thing. Now, the second one is called Calypso, and it's fucking great. It's set on the Discovery 1,000 years from now. Well, 1,000 years from then. Which would put it in the 3200s? Is it 2200s that Discovery set? 'Cause it's... Yeah, anyway.
Why not?
Anyway. So it's set, even past, like, the stuff we've seen in the future of Star Trek. We've seen stuff from, like, the 25th century and shit like that. But I think this is actually further ahead than all of that.
Oh, dang.
And no one's on Discovery. It got abandoned at some point.
So is it just like 15 minutes of nothing?
No.
I thought that was just an elaborate jab.
The computer has basically become sentient.
Okay.
And it picks up someone from an escape pod and brings them on board.
Oh.
And it's just kind of them chatting and sort of getting to know each other, and it's really nice.
That does sound actually
I don't
super
want to
nice.
spoil. I don't want to say anything more about it, but it's really good. I'm a sucker for those kind of episodes of things, and it raises
like almost character studies.
Yeah, and it's of 2 characters that are probably you're never going to see in the main show, because one of them doesn't exist for 1,000 years, and one of them is an evolved form of something that isn't sentient in the show.
So yeah, no, that's a really cool idea, actually.
I can if you only watch one episode, watch that. I really like it. Third episode was, I think it was The Brightest Star or something it was called, and it's about Saru on his home planet before he became a Starfleet officer. Because he lives on like a primitive planet where Kelpians, which is the race he is, or Doug Jones, which is the race he is. He's a race of Doug Jones, from the race of Doug Jones.
There's a lot of those knocking about.
Like their race is kind of harvested for food, and they're like a primitive race, and he just ends up on, giving backstories to how he ends up with Starfleet.
Cool.
I wasn't super fussed about this one, but I think that was more because it was just telling a bit of backstory you didn't actually need to know. But yeah, I probably won't watch it again, but it's fine. It's fine. The last one was The Escape Artist, that is based around Harry Mudd.
Harry Mudd.
What?
Not Houdini.
Huge Muddy.
Yeah. Harry Houdini.
Yeah, I know who Harry Houdini is, but
was like a fantastic escape artist.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of.
Okay. I was gonna say
Harry Mudd.
I was gonna say the pun there was so tenuous that it took me a while to grasp onto it and hold on.
That's what the old idiom is, because it's an idiom now. That's the term for it.
Yeah.
Not a saying.
No.
It's the best with the more layers.
Fucking hell.
I'm very tired.
Shall I just go and say more words that are in an order?
That are words.
That are words, more importantly, and we can move on from this. I'm going to do that. So it's about Harry Mudd, and he's basically captured. And it's him trying to talk his way out of capture, and it is full of flashbacks to other things. And it has a twist you probably won't ever see coming, so that's kind of fun.
Artistically.
Again, this is probably the one that is the most reliant on my unified theory of Star Trek Discovery doesn't exist in the prime timeline. Never think of it in that way, because if you do, then all it creates is questions and problems. It's the most reliant on that, but once you're past that, because basically the Harry Mudd that's in Discovery, I in no way can interpret him as being the same Harry Mudd in TOS at all.
I guess it kind of like if Cut Me Own Throat Dibbler was like Jack the Ripper.
I mean, he straight up is a killer in Discovery, but he's just kind of a lovable rogue in TOS. I mean, a lovable rogue for the 60s, so he's still a monster. Yeah. But everyone on television or in movies in the 60s was kind of a monster when you actually listen to the things that come out of their mouths.
Yeah, a little bit.
So it's fine. But yeah, they're pretty good. Like the Harry Mudd one, I did really enjoy, but as I say, just forget about continuity to wider Trek. Just forget about it, and you'll have fun with it.
Forget about it
because it's funny. Also shows off the Tellarite redesign a bit better than we've seen it before as well, because the Tellarites are a terrible looking alien from TOS that they've redesigned a couple of times, mainly for Enterprise and for Discovery, and by Discovery they finally don't look like absolute shit.
Oh, nice.
So that's good.
Took them a while, but better slow than never, better late than never. That's what I was looking for.
But yeah, I didn't actually realise these things existed until the Harry Mudd one went up, because obviously they're not available here and no one I saw talked about them. So I was just like, oh, okay. These are a thing that exists. And they started making them in October.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And yeah, considering that Star Trek Discovery itself goes up on the same day worldwide. It's ridiculous that I can't access them. It is absurd that I physically cannot give money to CBS to watch these. It's not actually physically possible unless I guess if I used a VPN to
No, they don't really. They can tell that you're using a VPN.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if the CBS one can.
It probably will.
It probably can. From what I've heard, it's not particularly great, so it's possible that it can't.
The point is, you shouldn't have to do that.
Well, I shouldn't have to do things that are that. Even that
here I am with my money. I want to give it to you, and you won't let me.
I mean, pretending to come from another country isn't that a soft version of fraud?
Yeah.
So I'd have to commit the most legal way to watch these is to commit fraud.
Yeah.
So
Yay!
watching it on Dailymotion is positively like fine comparatively. But yeah, if you can
Stop talking about piracy.
yeah, but if you can watch them, give them a watch. Especially Calypso, it's great. And apart from that, I've done absolutely nothing of consequence. So I shall hand over to my esteemed colleague Snipe. What have you been up to, my dear, over the last 2 weeks?
So much.
So much.
A lot of spooky stuff, actually.
Spooky stuff.
I've watched a few horror movies.
Have you now?
Yes, I have. So, Bird Box. There's rumblings about that.
Yeah. I've heard about that from the challenge.
The challenge?
The Bird Box challenge that Netflix are like, please stop doing this.
You see, I've actually only I saw Netflix saying that, but apparently I lacked the curiosity to find out what
It's
it
not
was.
like
that's
driving a
that's
car
literally
with a
all I've seen as
blindfold
well.
on, is it?
Okay, well, what is the challenge?
Well, explain what the show is first, and then...
Okay, so it's a movie with Sandy Bullock in it, which is kind of weird because she hasn't been in anything for a while, and all these young'uns are like, "Oh yeah, the woman from Bird Box," even though I'm old and I know the movie she's been in. It's
Demolition Man, obviously.
It's obviously Demolition Man. It's about a series of apocalyptic events happen, the mysterious, which starts off, I believe, in Europe. The movie takes place in America, and it's basically it's kind of like a zombie virus, but it's not in the way that it's just this thing where if you look at these creatures or whatever it is, you go insane and kill yourself in any way that you can. It's like some people you see kind of go like, "Oh, it's my mother," or their dead mother or whatever. So these things can basically kind of make you see what you want to see, and then they make you kill yourself, basically. So it's pretty grim.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there's this famous kind of scenes of like Sandra Bullock with a blindfold on and two 5-year-old children with blindfolds on, kind of leading them through the woods, kind of thing. So yeah, so what's the Bird Box challenge?
I think people are basically just blindfolding themselves and walking into traffic from the look of it, or just walking into situations where they shouldn't be wearing blindfolds. And then Netflix are like, "Please stop doing this, people, because we don't want to be responsible."
I kind of want to just punch anyone who is like, "Let's do the X challenge." I hate that as a suffix. As, "Oh yeah, let's do the short trek challenge where you've got to like fake your death and change your name and like sneak into Canada so you can like watch fucking Star Trek or whatever." Because it really does annoy me. I will say the movie I thought was pretty entertaining. A lot of people have a lot of problems with it, which is fair. It's a zombie type kind of movie, that kind of genre is rife with just annoyances and all sorts of garbage. But I mean, the biggest problem I have for it is that it is told out of sync, and it didn't need it.
Okay.
It's literally so like, mild spoilers, I guess, but in the way that it's like a zombie movie. So you start off and it's Sandra Bullock on her own with 2 kids. And then it goes, "Oh yeah, like 5 years previous," and she's like, she holes up in a house full of people, and you're like, okay, so they're all probably going to die. Okay, it immediately spoils itself. It's like, why couldn't you just start at the 5-year ago mark?
I will say, I just to offer another perspective on this.
So did you watch it as well?
I kind of...
He fades in and out.
I faded in and out. I think it was one of those things where I sort of half-watched the first half of it, and then I watched like the second half of it with you, because I was like, actually, this looks really good.
Yeah.
But I would say I personally don't have as much of an issue of like it being told out of sequence like that, because... something where the characters are interesting, I don't mind them doing that, because then I am still invested in seeing how they got to that position.
No,
but
I understand.
when it's when I don't care about the characters, then that becomes annoying. Cloverfield is a good example of that, because that does the same
Well, I
thing.
mean, it opens the movie going, hey, look, there was, like, everyone died or whatever.
Basically, it basically presents you with a situation where the only possible conclusion is everyone is dead, and you don't care about the characters, so and then it becomes tedious, whereas I cared about the characters in Bird Box.
I thought the characters in this was pretty good. I will say that I still firmly believe that telling it out of sequence was such a fucking mistake.
Fair enough.
Because it's just, it just kept spoiling itself, and it's like, okay. Or it's like, oh, this person, like, this person was with this person, but now, like, in this flashback, there's no one there, so obviously this person's fucking dead, or whatever, you know, there's so many moments like that where you go, well, obviously something horrible happened. But I thought, like, the moments, like, there were some really good tense moments. I really like the idea, I really like the idea of the weird demons or beasts or whatever this weird supernatural force is that makes you go crazy and kill yourself. I think that's a really interesting kind of idea. The idea of, like, basically having to wander around with a blindfold is not the funnest idea.
Well, it's a very interesting take on what is fundamentally it's fundamentally a zombie story.
Yeah, and I fucking hate zombie stories, and it's actually made me enjoy it.
But it, like, mixed up all the actual the individual elements of it to make it not just another zombie story.
Yeah.
So.
But no, I thought it was well written. Couple of, like, I wouldn't say plot holes, but just kind of dead ends. Like say I'm not going to spoil anything, but say, a character goes off somewhere and then you never see them again, and everyone kind of seems to forget that they existed at any point, and you're like, pretty sure there was okay, fine. Guess we don't need to know. But yeah, no, I thought, like, it was pretty good. The story was pretty decent, and going back to before someone starts getting angry at me, I appreciate the non-linear structure of the narrative is annoying for the way that it basically spoils itself, but I understand how else are they going to get the river so the river scenes aren't one big long stretch of just tedious boating. I get it, but there had to have been something, like, a different way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, appreciation of all art is subjective, so,
Yeah, no, so I mean,
if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you.
I still would recommend it. I thought it was a good movie that had some spookiness, and I really like it when horror movies don't just go, oh yes, and there were cosmic rays from outer space that hit this particular kind of thing.
You've been watching my kaiju movies again.
Yeah. But no, it's like, I hate horror movies, or I just don't like narratives where they explain literally fucking everything, because it's never needed. Especially in horror movies where not knowing is the scariest part. In my personal opinion, I think, the unknown is terrifying. That's what you don't get to see what they look like. You see shapes and stuff, and you hear whispers and things, but you don't see these things.
It also allows them to have a Lovecraftian level threat spending next to no money.
Yes, although they did actually make some practical effects for what one of these things is going to look like.
Oh, did they?
And it looks like a stupid baby. It's so dumb.
But it's good they didn't show them then.
I'm very glad, because it's like, have you ever seen that picture? There's like a guy without a shirt on, wearing like the the rubber baby mask.
I'm sorry,
crying.
I know what you're talking about, but all I'm seeing in my head is the CGI, like, baby from fucking Ally McBeal.
Oh yeah, just fucking like hooked on a feeling starts playing.
I'm very sorry to anyone who's listening who is younger than, like, 25, because fair, they are not going to know what Ally McBeal is.
The dancing baby from Ally McBeal was the first meme.
Yeah, it was. It was a really early internet meme.
So yeah,
long before the term meme was even coined, I believe.
It was, yeah. It was just that. Then everyone had a transparent GIF of that dancing fucking baby on their Angel Fire account.
So
this was even pre-Angel Fire.
Possibly off topic, but I think what the fuck is this baby thing?
Have you never seen it?
Have you never seen the
I just googled it.
Mask?
The fuck is this?
That's one of the enemies from Bird Box, obviously.
Are you looking at the
I'm aware. I'm vaguely
mask?
aware what Ally McBeal is, but I have no idea what this. Why did it have a weird 3D baby in it?
It just because she would it was really weird, and she would regularly hallucinate that baby. Just like she'd go into the bathroom and open the door, and then Hooked on a Feeling would start playing, and the baby would be there in the stall, and she'd be like, "Oh no, it's the dancing baby!" And then I'll be like, "Oh, Allie, are you looking at that dancing baby again?" She's like, "Mm-hmm."
Okay.
But yeah, it was just a thing that popped up because I used to watch Ally McBeal.
Ally McBeal was a
very strange show.
I actually would be intrigued to watch a few episodes of Ally McBeal again to see how that has aged, because I remember it having some very odd moments like that. Like, yeah, it was not shy to be weird.
No, it got really fucking weird at points, especially the 3D dancing baby thing.
I remember there was a character in there. It's the guy that played I always forget the actor's name, but the guy that played Renfield in Dracula Dead and Loving It.
He was also in Adam's Family Values.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah.
He was one of the camp coordinators.
He had a moment where, like, every time he got stressed, and he's a lawyer.
Yeah,
so he's in stressful situations all the time.
Yeah.
And he would just put both his arms in the air.
Just straight up.
Just straight up. So, like, people are asking him questions and he just keeps putting his hands up.
He put his hands up in the air, but he did actually care a lot.
Yeah.
Because, oh god, no, I remember there was an episode where she embraces her dancing baby hallucination, and somebody walks in and it's just blasting Hooked on a Feeling, and she's just doing the baby dance next to the CGI baby. And people kind of walking in and going, "Oh, that's Ally."
Yeah, she does
and
this.
then just shut the door and leave.
We should move on from the Ally McBeal dancing baby.
Yes, we probably should. Decent movie. Pretty good for tension. Can recommend. Another horror movie I watched. Ghost Stories.
Possibly the worst name for
Terrible
a work
name.
of fiction.
Absolutely god-awful. So it's got some actors you probably might recognise. Like, that guy from The Fast Show.
Paul Whitehouse.
Paul Whitehouse.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman, and the boy from The End of the Fucking World.
Yes.
Ah.
He's in there, and he is fantastic. He's a very good actor.
When
I like
was
him,
this made?
yeah.
Is this like a recent-ish?
This
thing?
is like new to Netflix.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm not sure. But yeah, it follows a guy around. It kind of starts off with this guy's like, "Oh yes, I'm for like it's like psychic frauds or something." I can't remember. Like he's basically like James Randi kind of type guy wanting to disprove all this kind of like.
Who's James Randi?
You know James Randi?
No, never heard of him.
James Randi is a famous like psychic.
Debunker.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So he during the 70s he put up like it was like a $10,000 reward for anyone who proved that they have psychic powers, and every single person who went for it was proved quite visibly to be a fake.
Okay.
He's been after like people like Peter Popoff, who is a disgusting piece of shit.
Oh yeah, he's a piece of shit. Yeah.
He's an evangelical religious man who literally has an earpiece in. He masquerades as a faith healer, and basically will just get fed info of people in the crowd and then pretend that he's cured their cancer or whatever. He's a disgusting piece of shit. And it starts off, basically, with that scenario of some psychic going, "Oh yes, I can see a little boy here." A little boy is going, "Mummy, where's Mummy?" And of course this woman stands up in the crowd, and she is fucking phenomenal actress. She's just inconsolable. She's like, "I lost my little boy," you know, and then it cuts back to the guy who's like, "This guy is obviously bullshitting. We're tuned into his radio frequency, and you can hear him being fed information." And he's all doing this because there's this old, like, university professor who did a lot of that stuff. So he's kind of like, "Oh, I'm doing the same thing as my hero," and he gets a letter from his hero. Basically, who everyone had thought had died. So he goes and visits this guy in this little camper van in the middle of like a field. Like this old guy, and he's saying, "Okay, well, I've got these 3 cases that have haunted me because I've never been able to solve them. These are the real deal." And this guy, obviously, the main character, being very, very like, what's the word? Not cynical, but he's not a believer. He's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever. You're just old and senile," and he's like, "No, seriously, go fucking check them out." So he does. And the first one he goes to is what's his name? Whitehouse.
Yeah, Paul Whitehouse.
Yeah, he goes to see Paul Whitehouse, who's just this old geezer having a drink in a pub. who is miserable. He's like talking about like also like how he hasn't seen his daughter in a while and how he had this horrifying paranormal experience because he was a night watchman at this old decrepit factory. Well, it wasn't a factory. It was like an old like quote unquote madhouse from like the 40s or something. So primo horror right there. And it kind of goes through like, and it follows the guy kind of through his like night duty in the flashback, and it's pretty spooky. There's a beautiful cut where there's like a little like a foreman's box, and he kind of comes out because he hears a noise, and he kind of walks out halfway, and the camera shot is like him on the far right-hand side of the frame, and the background's blurred, but you can see the silhouette of somebody standing in the room he was just in, just standing still. It's not made a big deal of, and it's not super, super noticeable. But you notice it and you're like, ooh, okay, that's spooky.
Because the movie's, it's almost like a little anthology thing, isn't it?
Almost, yeah, it is.
Like just a bunch of little stories.
Yeah, it follows the three people, so he goes kind of like 1, 2, and 3, and then kind of, I'm not going to spoil it, but it does get. Initially, it was scary, and then it became incredibly frightening for a very different reason.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it because I think you should go watch it.
Everything gets tied together.
Yeah, there's lots of little threads left out for you and stuff like that. And
watch it.
Just I will say that there are a few scares that are really eye-rolly. Like there's a couple of a scary woman in a wig screaming at the screen, yeah, and it's like, okay, that's just shit. That's Steam green light levels of boring.
I've just remembered the joke in there. Well, a line from. Would you mind if I gave away one little tiny fraction of a scene?
Okay, well, just plug your ears,
Tiny
folks.
fraction of a scene. The guy, I wish I could remember the actor's name from End of the Fucking World.
Yeah, me too. I don't know.
He's in a car and he's broken down, and he can hear something's got in the back of his car, and he can't see it.
It's sitting like directly behind him.
And then he basically hands come round and hold on to him, and he hears the word "stay," and he just kind of goes "fuck no" and just runs out the car, and it's the most real reaction to experiencing that I have ever seen.
Yeah, he was just like, oh fuck that, and just runs out into the middle of the woods. It's so fucking funny. It's so well done. But yeah, no, can recommend. Very fun.
Not perfect, but interesting.
Not perfect, but it's very, very interesting. I'd say I'd probably recommend that above Bird Box for scariness and uniqueness of story.
It's very, very British as well.
Very British, so it might be a bit uncomfortable to people who aren't used to Britishisms, but
like when it's dealing with a working class man,
there is a bit of racism in there. But like, if you've ever known like someone who's worked in a mine,
yeah,
in a small English town, that's how those people talk, which is gross, but. It works pretty well.
It's not presented as a positive thing.
No.
It's just how the person is.
Yeah. So no, I can recommend that. That was really good. Sticking with the horror genre.
The horror.
I played a video game.
Ooh. You didn't.
I did.
Good Lord.
I did on this video game podcast.
On this podcast, we can't allow that.
I know. I played some Resident Evil Revelations, which is way better than I thought it would be, actually.
Yeah, this is the one that was originally on the 3DS, isn't it?
It was, yeah.
Oh, is this the one that your recent video was about?
Yes.
Yeah, I know which game you... There's so many fucking Resident Evil games, I have no idea which one's which at this point.
I'm going to be honest, it's not fair to an outsider. It's Resident Evil Revelations, where the fuck do you put that shit in the timeline?
If it helps, I don't believe even Capcom know what's going on in the wider Resident Evil narrative anymore.
I played some of them, but I can't remember which. But I've played some of them.
Was it one with a zombie in it?
I played, I think, the second one. Was that on the PS1?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I've definitely played that one. I might have played the first. I can't remember.
But yeah, no, I've been playing a bit of that. I'm really looking forward to playing some more of it. The only thing I hate about it is Jessica, which is Chris's partner. Because she's designed like she's from a fucking 60s James Bond movie. Especially in this, like, she literally has like a wetsuit where she's got the hood up on the wetsuit, and she's got like all of her hair out the right side so it covers her eye. She's got it unzipped so you can see all of her boobage, and she has literally one of the legs of the wetsuit just isn't attached.
Oh, good.
It is the stupidest fucking thing. It's like, if it was an unlockable costume, I wouldn't mind, because like Resident Evil's pretty decent for kind of like sexy men costumes as well.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind. But
Is there also a guy with a wetsuit and like cleavage out and one leg
but
out?
that would be amazing.
Because that would be fine. If they did both, I'd be entirely fine for both of them.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like, you've got Chris there, who's like dressed normally.
He's dressed like he's from Call of Duty.
Yeah. And then you've got this woman in fucking like skin tight leggings and hot pants in like a Sub-Zero
legging singular.
No. Like when you first see her, she's got like
right.
the big fluffy hat on.
She looks like she's the Russian spy that James Bond is supposed to romance in a 60s film.
Yeah. And then there's Call of Duty Chris.
Yeah.
Who's like, he's got like icicles on his facial hair. That's how cold it is. And she's just in a fucking pair of leggings and jean
that's when
shorts.
they're in the mountains of Europe.
The mountains of Europe.
Because there is only one set of mountains in Europe.
Yeah, everyone knows the European mountains.
It's the only. There's like 3 of them there, and that's it.
But no, like, I really enjoy it. Like, it's got a good classic kind of Resi feel, but it also controls like Resi 5, which is my favourite. And I like the controls in that, and it makes sense to me. So yeah, I'm quite enjoying that. Looking forward to going and playing more of that. I've been watching one more thing.
Yes.
So, do you want to see what phrase I can utter that will immediately get us like 5 dislikes?
I can think of a few.
Okay. I've been watching the new She-Ra, Princess of Power, and it's good. Come on, roll them in. I thrive off attention, even negative, especially negative. I'm very disobedient. Oof. Cover me in the downvotes, daddy. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I think it does have a few problems, but I would have absolutely adored this as a girl. Like, when I was younger, this would have been so awesome for me. I watched the entire first series. Got the entire first thing up on Netflix. I love the design. I love how... Because, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen much old She-Ra.
It's typical old 80s, very lazy animation style. Every character, because all the characters are based on toys, which are all based on fundamentally the same mold with different heads on it. Every character ends up being kind of the same character with different bits, accessories, basically.
I never really liked She-Ra as like the original one as a kid, because I just found it I was not interested.
I just don't remember. I think
many people did really like She-Ra.
I think I was just a little late here for He-Man and stuff. I don't remember it being that big of a deal here, or maybe I just never knew anyone that cared.
When I was growing up, it was kind of on the tail end. Yeah, but like I never had any pull to the old She-Ra kind of thing. But new She-Ra, I really do like. I love the art style's really cute. I like how you've got different body types in there. Like, I mean, it makes me want to cry. Like, the first time Adora turned into She-Ra, she's like 8 foot tall and she has like arm muscles. And I'm like, I have arm muscles. I have strong arm muscles. You know, even like as like an adult, I'm like, that's nice. Also, Adora in her normal form has just got my haircut that I used to have.
Yeah, when you had it kind of poofed up at the front.
When I had like a little poof at the front and just in a ponytail. Also, she has that's just my natural hair colour as well. So I'm like, this is weird. But yeah, no, I like the characters in it are super cool. It's like, it is very obviously, like, it's not written to the same kind of standard as, say, Gravity Falls or something, which is not really a massive problem, because it's for kids, you know. Whereas Gravity Falls, I feel, is kind of like for teens and older, whereas this feels like it's for around kind of like 11, 12-year-old girls. Yeah, which I think this is, and boys too. So yes, it's not, I don't think it's a problem for that. But I mean, yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought it was fun. I don't feel it talked down to the viewer at all. Scorpia, or whatever her name is. I think it's Scorpia. Or Scorpina.
Scorpion Zarya, yeah.
Oh, she's amazing. Oh god, I love her so much. She's the pinchiest, like, muscle waifu, and I love her.
Like, I did watch a couple of episodes with you, and I have to say, having watched it, I cannot fathom what sort of a person could get mad about it. Yeah, or more accurately, I can, and that upsets me, but... It's
Like,
just
who cares about them? They're idiots and they'll never be happy.
It's just a fucking cartoon.
Yeah, and honestly,
Die mad about it. Like,
yeah, no, that's good.
Who cares?
But no, I do think
Definitely
like,
better than the old one. Definitely better than basically any cartoon from
I
the
really
80s.
like the new costume as well because it's like you can just see someone like running around in that. Like that's comfortable. You know, that's functional as well as looking pretty cool.
Also, she's a giant, glowing woman. She's basically a gender-swapped emperor.
She-Ra is the Femperor, and you can't convince me otherwise. She-Ra is the Emperor just deciding that he just, needs a female element. And that's awesome.
She glows gold all the time.
She has, like, glowing eyes and shit. It's awesome. It's amazing, and I love it. So, yeah, I know, I've been really enjoying that. And I'm kind of curious to see what they do in the second series, if there is one.
I do remember you saying one of the problems was the ending is a bit rushed.
The last episode, it does feel kind of like it's just like, oh yeah, suddenly everything's okay because we have 5 minutes left, and you're like, oh okay, which I think was a bit disappointing. But otherwise, I think it's pretty well done. I mean, there's an episode, I think it's episode 7, that deals with some kind of quite adult themes. Because it's not really spoilers to say in the first episode, Adora, she goes out into, because she has basically been raised by this super military evil kind of corp called the Horde. Full name, Evil Horde, not massively subtle, but then again, neither was the subject, like the original kind of subject matter.
In fairness, a lot of the names from it come from a cartoon made in the 80s to push toys.
Yeah, so it's not exactly poetry.
You end up with the Megatron Starscream problem of it doesn't matter how good a story you put to them, their names are still Megatron and Starscream.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. So they go out into the Whispering Woods, because they have to go and fight the princesses. And then Adora finds a sword and breaks free of the clutches of the Shadow Weaver, which is basically her kind of adopted mother. And there's an episode that kind of deals with the whole, like, oh, you owe someone because they raised you. And she's like, no, I fucking don't. It's like, you raised me wrong. You never loved me. It's kind of that whole kind of thing of just because somebody raised you or somebody is your parent, that doesn't make them a good person. And I'm like, fucking hell.
He was your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
Yeah, and I was like, damn. Because she's basically living with the princesses, and they're kind of her adoptive family now. And it's like, yikes. Okay, that's that's taking quite a grim, quite difficult to explain topic and explaining it in a way that, say, a young person might have a lot more ease of understanding, or at least kind of giving them the seed of, it kind of plants the seed into a youngin's head of, like, if somebody's hurting you, it doesn't matter who they are, they shouldn't be hurting you. And I think that's crazy important and crazy. Yeah. It's like, wow, I did not expect this, but I'm pretty impressed. You know? So
honestly, in general, I know a lot of people, you have nostalgia for, like, old shows, like when you were a kid. But I love modern cartoons. Obviously, there's, like, there's bad ones that exist as well, but there's a certain, like, respect for kids that I notice in a lot of modern stuff. So they're more willing to tell them a story, because even though you had stuff like the Batman animated series or what have you, like back in the 90s, for the most part they didn't kind of go for, like, longer narratives quite as often, or at least the really big famous ones didn't tend to do that. So I genuinely like stuff. It feels like it started around Adventure Time. Like, there's probably something that predates that kind of set the trend.
Yeah, you definitely have to say that's not the first one of these, because someone will point out that there's one earlier.
Oh yeah, but like it's the first big one, because obviously I wasn't paying attention to kids shows, and that was the first one I noticed and went, wow, actually, kids TV's got, like, quite good, because that like really respected, like, its audience. It would be silly and absurd, but it would be serious when it needed to be serious and tackle, like, more serious issues. I have great respect for a lot of these modern kid shows, and it seems like from what I've seen and what you've told me about it, that yeah, She-Ra definitely fits into that kind of category. Even,
Absolutely.
You know, even if it's got its flaws, you know, what piece of media doesn't, you know?
I mean, this podcast, obviously.
Oh, well, this is
Yeah, this is flawless. This is like literally the definition of art, so.
Yeah. This podcast may be, to paraphrase a famous Skull man, this podcast may be the only work of human creation that I would deny the categorization of art.
We're not that bad.
But yeah, do you have anything else to add about She-Ra?
No, I just thought it was very entertaining.
Yeah. It a good then. Thumbs up.
Good. Thumbs up. Can
Okay.
recommend.
So, Matthew, what have you been up to in the last few weeks?
I've been doing a few bits and bobs. So I've spent, I front load this. I've spent a lot of time kind of finishing up Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there's not much to say about it, to be honest. But I've made good progress up into my third spring, and I've basically done most things, I think.
Okay.
But yes, it's still a good game. It's a surprising amount of depth. Every time I think I've finished a bit, there's like, oh, there's this whole new thing to do. So,
yeah, no, that's the problem with it.
yeah, but making progress, so that's good. I'll be happy when I finish that, and then I can like draw a line under it because I don't want to stop now. And I find it hard with those sort of games to like just cut back to doing like, you know, a little bit at a time. I kind of feel like I can't do anything else until I've finished, and then yeah.
So I do know what you mean, yeah.
So the next few games I'm going to be playing are like less open-ended sort of ones that are like, right, you know, good 8 hour of storyline and then it finishes and I can move on or whatever.
So, sometimes just having a chunk of something that you can play in like a handful of days and then just be done with, I think is kind of nice to do.
So I've been playing the new Crash Bandicoot game.
Ah, yes.
With the idea of,
Insane
okay,
trilogy.
it's yes, the insane.
Insane.
In the membrane.
No.
Yeah, and
That'd be dumb.
yeah, I mean, oh, bang, it brings back the feels from being a kid and playing
God,
it.
yeah.
Like, it took a little while to get used to the, like, weird angled 3D platforming. Like, the first level, I, like, got, like, 2 game over screens on it, because I was, like, going for jumps and hitting jump, like, way before the jump started, because I just wasn't... Like, there's not really any games that have that same camera that close into you, but also 3D, but also not really, and... Yeah, I've not played many that are like that anymore, anyway.
Well, I mean, Crash Bandicoot was very early in terms of 3D platformers.
Yeah.
I would say that it's one of the ones that, since it didn't have the problem of leaving the camera control to you. It's one of the few from that era that doesn't have horrific camera control problems. 'Cause, I mean, that chased like 3D platformers up to... Well, I mean, they still sometimes have problems with that, but I remember especially into like the kind of GameCube, PS2 era.
Sonic Adventure was
Ooh,
nuts.
Sonic Adventure was
Yeah,
really
The
yeah,
good
camera
for
was
that.
a physical entity that would get stuck in the thing.
Yeah, that was a thing. And yeah, Crash Bandicoot didn't really have that because it
No,
had
so
rigid control of the camera all the time.
So it means it holds up surprisingly well, but it does just take a little. It just took me a little while to get into it, or
Yeah,
not into the
also-
game, but just into the into the controls, and like not be shit at it basically.
Also, I loved how you can play as Coco for the majority as well.
Yeah, that is pretty great.
I'm just kind of like, I was kind of super cranky because you can't play as her when you're in boss fights.
Yeah, it's just the other levels. Is it? I
It's just
honestly
the
haven't
level.
actually tried because I
Yeah.
kind of forgot who she was, sort
That's
of.
his sister.
Yeah, but because I haven't really met her yet, I was like, okay, I'll go back. I'll play some levels with her later on. I'll just get used. When I'm getting used to it, I'll just play as the. And I honestly couldn't quite remember. I didn't think you could do that in the original game, but I wasn't entirely sure. Yeah, I remember you could one of the levels along like along a wall or something, and you're riding one
Great
of the.
Wall of China with the tiger.
Yeah, I remember that level. That was a great level. I don't remember it whether I got stuck there for ages. I feel like that might have happened, but I can't remember. But yeah, it's pretty great. Weird. It feels fundamentally wrong playing it on an Xbox controller rather than a PlayStation controller.
I hear
That's
that.
weird. Like not physically, like it doesn't make it harder or easier. I mean, it probably
It
makes it
doesn't feel
easier.
right.
If I went back to playing an original PS1 controller, it'd be horrible, I imagine. Not least because you can't plug them into anything because bloody proprietary ports and things. But that all aside, it's great, isn't it? They've done such a good job of like, modernising like the graphics and redoing things, but it's still not tried to make it too shiny or make it what it isn't. They've just sort of made it bearable, which I appreciate. There's a couple of bits. So I've got to the first 2 bosses, and hear me out what I'm going to say before anyone shouts at me or writes an angry comment. But the first boss is like a really bad stereotype of like a generic Polynesian islander person.
Yeah.
And then the second one is like a crazy dog in a straitjacket or whatever. I'm just like, oh, these are both a little bit like, I'm not saying they shouldn't have remade the game. I'm not saying they should have changed it. But I'm just saying it does great for showing how much progress we've made as a society in general. If it was a new game being made now, those would definitely not be the 2 bosses, or you'd hope anyway.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, it's just like, okay. I'm glad they didn't change it, and I'm glad. Obviously, I'm not saying they shouldn't have released it or you shouldn't enjoy playing it because of this. But it is just.
I guess you just got to acknowledge that is of a different time, and it's not. You don't do that nowadays.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great. I've only done those first 2 bosses, but I think I'm like 30% through the first game. I only played it for like an hour or something.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be a nice and quick one. I probably will resist going back and try to collect all the things because I can get bogged down doing that, and then I end up playing something for a long time and having nothing else to talk about on the podcast for 6 months or whatever.
That's fine. You can just tell us about the sequels to Universal Paperclips each week.
Oh no.
There's sequels?
I don't know if there is, and I feel like I've probably opened a Pandora's box by even suggesting that's a concept to you.
Well, if there isn't, I might have to make one.
Oh no.
Do you just want me to buy you a box of paper clips? I've literally got some. I bought some paper clips the other week so I could pin models, but you can have some of those paper clips.
I've got. If you could.
A few of them in the shape of a book.
Yeah, that's quite
They're
nice.
like
No, well, I do need a bull. What's it called? A bull clip thing.
Bulldog clip.
Bulldog
Is
clip.
this for your nipples?
I need one of that.
Yeah.
Well, it's for reasons.
Okay.
For reasons.
Okay.
But so yeah, I've been enjoying that. I'm going. Yeah, this year, my aim for the year is to have a new game. Or not a new game. Obviously, not a new game. Come on. A game that I haven't played before, or something to talk about. Like I said in the end of year review last time, I made it through most of the year and then got dramatically distracted. So that's my aim this year. One new game every 2 weeks. Shouldn't be too ambitious, but we'll see how it goes.
No.
I mean, I can't say anything. I've not played anything.
This is very true. And I'm getting the motorbikes now as well.
Yeah.
And we've got the ambulances.
Oh, you said that before I heard it though, so it's like weird. Yeah.
I summoned it out of the ether.
Summoned it. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, everyone has the ability to summon an ambulance. You either have to hurt yourself or just pick up a phone.
Yeah, that's true.
That is one of those. Both of those things you shouldn't do. One of those
you should
things
never
you shouldn't
pick
do.
up a phone. Don't. That's how the government makes their soup.
Right. One last quick thing I wanted to mention. I've watched a new, actually, BBC series. Oh, I think it's BBC America made it.
Oh, I haven't. I can't see it then because I don't have a TV
was-
license because I don't believe they deserve my money. That and I don't like anything on there.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
Apart from this, which sounds amazing, and I'm
Yeah.
not spending like a tenner a month just to watch one show.
I mean, I get by it because my parents have a TV license, and I can, as long as I go to theirs to like download things or say I've downloaded them, it's fine. So if you just go to like someone's house who does have a TV license once every month or whatever,
Yeah, that works. I'll do that.
It's fine.
That's, I mean,
Well,
sure.
I do remember there was a TV campaign like years and years and years ago that I was like at someone else's house watching TV, and an advert was like, if you are over the age, if you're not living in a place like at home, and you don't have a TV license, and you go to someone's house where they do, and you watch the BBC, you're breaking the law.
It's
And
almost
there
as
was,
bad
like,
as
a
downloading a
picture.
car.
I would download every car if I fucking could. I don't even care. I would literally be downloading cars all day and night, and any person who walked past my house, I would give them a downloaded illegal car, and I would watch the fucking world collapse.
If I remember rightly, if you've got the right kind of 3D printers, there is.
I can just download a car.
You can download a car.
You
Yes.
wouldn't download a car. Yes, I would. I fucking would.
You can at least download. You can download a lot of parts of Cars. That's
yeah,
very
and then I
certain.
can put them together and make my own brum brum mobile.
Anywho, so this series I've been watching, it's called Killing Eve.
Yes.
Is
And
Eve okay?
Eve, I mean, I don't want to say. She might be.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want to spoil for the show.
Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
But it's very good. It's 8 episodes, so it's a mini series by American BBC Netflix standards.
American BBC Netflix.
Yeah,
you heard it here first.
Shut up. But yeah, it's relatively. I think it's very good. The first 6 episodes are great. It kind of peters off ever so slightly the last 2 episodes, but it's still overall very good. And it's kind of a cop drama show thing, but instead of being focused just on the cops, it's kind of as much focus on the baddie as well. So
Is it like one long story, or are they like?
Yeah, it's one
episodes?
long story, and you see it from. So there's basically an assassin and a main police special forces. I know. Am I one of them? Secret Service. Secret Service. That's right. Or she's not. Well, I don't even know.
She is a special police.
Yes, it's focused on 2 people. There's an assassin, and there's a special police person, in essence. And it kind of spends equal time on both of them. So it's slightly less one-sided than just focusing on the cops or just focusing on the baddie. It's kind of split. And it's just full of really good characters. Like you said earlier about someone having like an honest reaction to something and going, oh, fuck, or whatever it was. Like this show is entirely has those reactions in it. Like up until, again, the last couple of episodes, where it doesn't get bad, but it just gets slightly more predictable. And I don't know if it's because we got more used to it or what. But especially for the first half of it, it's like everyone just reacts to seeing things like how a human would react, not how a TV character would react. And it's so
kind of like dead
nice.
body. Oh my fuck, freak out.
Yeah, like people just
instead of going, dead body.
Yeah, it's. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about what happens in it, just because again it's one of those shows, spoilers, etc. But it gets a recommendation for me, and it makes it especially nice as well. Like both the main character, Eve, is the main police person, and there's the main assassin person, and they're both women. And there's a lot of like their bosses and various other characters are women, which means actually it's just quite it makes a nice change to a lot of TV. It's a lot more balanced in terms of people in it.
Yeah, no, that does sound
which is always nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd recommend it. It's only 8 episodes long, so yeah, check it out.
Cool, sounds neat.
And that is all I've done, apart from watch the thing which we'll talk about later.
Okay, cool.
Right, should we head off to questions now?
The email address that you need to send questions to, if you wish to send us questions, is onlydrummermat@snipeandwib@gmail.com. I
thought what happens when you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, well, that's it. I thought I'd do it myself because I always put one of you on the spot to say it. So I thought I'd do it myself and make you more unsettled because you're basically like tense because you're expecting me to turn to one of you.
I'm not tense. I'm pissed off. I'm fed up.
So I thought I'd mess with the expectations.
Okay, what's that email address again?
It's onlydrummermat@snipeandwib@gmail.com.
Cool. Send us questions. We like answering them.
Yes. So what questions do we have, Only Drummermat?
At snipeandwib.
@gmail.com.
We have a few questions.
Okay.
So first up, Seamus.
Hello.
If you could have any animal adaptation, for example, wings, gills, the spiny devil's ability to shoot blood through its tear ducts, what would you go for?
I already have that.
I feel like it's a loaded question because after reading that, I kind of want to go for the blood in tear ducts thing. Less practical in the real world, but...
I want the mantis shrimp's ability to punch so hard that it boils water around its
Because then
fist.
you'll never have to boil a kettle again. You just fill up the sink full of water and just punch it.
I'll just fill
Fill the bathtub and just punch the bath.
Like, yeah, then it'll be warm.
Wow.
That would be really useful.
You could be known as the bath bomb.
Hey, that's
the ultimate superhero.
I thought you were going to call him the bath puncher.
Okay, that's way better. Why didn't I think of that? Like, did somebody say they needed a bath
No one ever said that.
I mean, to be fair, since I'm generally a fairly pacifisty kind of person, like, I'd probably get bored of the ability to punch really hard really quickly and go, I actually don't have much use for this in my day-to-day life.
Yeah, but, like, I just think...
Apart from
really
punching
cool.
water to boil, like, the kettle for cups of tea, you know?
Yeah, I'm just imagining you holding, like, a cup of water and just hear this... And then... Like boiling water in a cup, and you're like, yeah, it's 11.
Because that is how the mantis shrimp boiling water around
Yeah,
it.
it's literally...
works.
On impact, it boils.
Yeah.
That's the way it
That's
works.
how it
It's
works.
not moving through the water at speed.
It's got nothing to do with that, no.
No.
But I've given a stupid answer, so it's up to you guys to give a stupid answer.
I want antlers, so I can headbutt people that are annoying me, like people on the bus or whatever.
Yeah.
Or people who start, like, shouting at me from the street. Or I want.
It would make putting on shirts really difficult.
Oh, that's true. I'll just
You'd always have to wear
button-up plaid
button-ups,
shirts all the time. But I have a lot of cool, like, game merch shirts. Okay, so I just want wolf teeth,
so you can bite people.
so I can bite people. You can punch bus, and I'll
You'd
bite
catch
people on
so
the
many
bus.
things if you just went around biting people.
Yeah, okay.
Because most of the people who are deserving of being bitten
Okay.
are,
Have you ever
you
seen
know-
those weird dentist, like, plastic bag things that they put around people's teeth? I'll just have one of those. And I'll have, like, the mouth thing, so it's, like, constantly showing
Okay,
off, like,
okay.
my
How
gums.
about? I know this is not a real animal,
Okay.
but you could have like the inner mouth that a xenomorph does, because then the inner mouth can bite them, and your normal mouth is left free of germs.
No, but then I like the idea of I'm just talking to someone and I laugh and then they see this slightly smaller like mouth that is perfect like my actual mouth opening and laughing as well. And would that mean that I wouldn't be able to eat a Burger King properly because that's presumably
what
inside
happened-
that mouth is the esophagus.
Possibly. I mean,
So I have to have
Now I
really
understand.
I'd literally just be sitting there like at Burger King and a little mouth will be coming out going nim nim nim.
I'm actually imagining now a xenomorph just eating a hamburger like that, and
It's
it's a
very
good image in my
delicately
head.
like nim 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 nim. Very very delicate noms.
Matt, what would you have from an animal?
He'd have a cow's booty
So
hole.
I'd quite like. I mean,
It's the
in
screw-like
real,
penis of a
can
duck,
I?
isn't it?
When it says animal adaptions,
You
Does
want
it have
bird
to
feet
be-
because they're unattractive, don't you?
what? Why would no? Why would I want that?
Because they're unattractive.
And they
Why
offer
don't-
no stat advantages.
Yeah.
It's from Rogue Trader. You should watch our content, goddammit, support us.
Also, I'd like secretary bird feet so I could just keep stamping on snakes until they explode. And
Yeah.
by snakes, I mean people on the bus.
No, what I want is entirely not reasonable because it's not technically real, but it was in a film.
Oh, no.
Right.
I'm going to
Have you
pronounce
guys
this
seen
wrong, and
Bible
Snipe is
Black?
going to tell me about this. The Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus.
Yeah, I want those neck things. Even
That's
though in
not
real life,
actually a thing it didn't-
no, that's what I said. That's why I preloaded it with. It's from a film. Does that count?
Dude, you could just say that you want a frill neck lizard. Like,
Yeah,
neck
just-
frill.
Although
But do
there's-
you want to be able to spit poison as well?
No. I just want to be able to turn around to people and just go, and then let my neck go, and then just go away. They'd be like, "The fuck just happened?"
I'm gonna let you on a little secret, drama, but
Right.
if you just kind of like pull on your neck every day, you will stretch the skin, and you could just do that like with a series of pulleys.
Or,
So you have like a hidden pulley down your like down like your arm, and you just yank it, and all the skin on your neck that you've been yanking on just goes.
alternately, if you want one that doesn't involve permanently disfiguring yourself, go get one of those really big collars, like shirts from the 70s, and then
I thought you
hire
were going
one.
to say about one of those collars so that dogs don't bite their own balls
No.
with their stitches.
And we can sit and hire one of us to stand behind you, and every time you're angry, we can just pop the collar up,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
will need to grow a handlebar moustache, though, otherwise people will laugh
and you can pop your 70s collar up.
hey,
people.
look,
That's
I
nearly the
didn't
same
pick
thing.
faults with your weird animal desires.
You are welcome
We're
to.
not picking faults. We're giving you real ways
you
in which you
options. If
could
this
bring
is a-
this into reality.
if this
You
is a
didn't do
thing
that
that
for
you
us.
want.
Don't mock us for this.
Yeah, you
we're
jerk.
we're in the right here. We're the
Yeah,
good people.
We're the supportive friends.
Do you want to ask the next question?
Yes, I do. Bloodwolf Koji. So they wanted some advice. So as someone who's played 4 games of 40k and had a trio of losses to Grey Knights, Sisters and Deathwatch, due
Yeah.
to them forgetting rules and forgetting various abilities that their guys had.
That's just playing 40k, but yeah.
Yeah, well their question is how do you go about remembering all of the various rules and abilities for your respective armies?
Just practice, honestly, and like index cards help. Like, or you want to write stuff down that you need to remember. just keep it on a notepad in front of you. That helps as well.
Yeah, honestly, not being able to remember... if you've only played 4 games of it, remembering the entire game system and all the stats for your things, it's unreasonable to expect yourself to remember that at that point.
It's a lot of stuff to remember, and it is difficult. So just, you'll get it. And even then, like, people who've been playing for, like, decades still forget little bits of rules.
I forget little bits of rules all the time. Like, there's a lot to... Like, 40k is not an uncomplicated game. Even 8th edition, where it's been streamlined a lot. There's a lot of nuances to rules, and if you play against people that are more familiar with it, like, they're able to not think about that and think more about tactics, so a more experienced player, chances are, is gonna do better. I wouldn't say there's anything unusual about that.
Try not to beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, basically, it's fine. Like, we all have that problem, and we all had that problem when we started. There's nothing unusual about it. Just keep going. You'll eventually internalize it all.
And don't feel bad about having to take notes.
Yeah. Hell, in the modern codex, because stuff's a bit all over the place in the way they're positioned. I've the last time I played, I literally put a load of the little the small post-it notes you can have to label pages. I just put a ton of those.
Markers.
Yeah, page markers. That would be the sensible word for that. I just threw a bunch of page markers in there for all the things that I had, so I could easily go to them. Because I can't remember tons of the stats for things now, because so many of them changed. Like, especially how many wounds things have got.
Oh yeah.
For 8th, I can never remember any of that. So yeah, I've just got them all marked off. Yeah.
Yeah. So don't feel bad and keep at it, friend.
And also, there's no shame in making a cheat sheet with all the information that you need on one sheet of paper. We've done that before.
Cheat sheets, yeah, definitely. As a side note, keep going, you'll eventually internalise it all. It's good advice for many situations.
Well...
that's just depressing now.
I mean, yeah. You'll internalise it all. The trauma will stay in deep, and you can swallow it down. Just don't do that. It's really unhealthy for you.
No, I was just talking about big dilduses.
Oh, okay. I went serious. You were talking about cocks. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, yeah, look, you can take that dilbus.
We believe in you.
We believe in you.
Okay, next up, Eggboy16. I could just Google this, but instead, I think you should stretch your cognitive matrices.
This worries me slightly.
In what generation did the first Adeptus Mechanicus Codex come out?
Oh.
Wib, I'm aiming more this at you, I imagine.
My knowledge, it's in either 6th or 7th. That's the dead zone for me, because I barely play. I never played anything in 7th, and I played 2 or 3 games in 6th.
Oh, damn, I was gonna go stereotypical annoying internet and go le wrong generation.
It's either 6th or 7th. But yeah, I don't remember exactly, because I wasn't playing the game much at that time. So sorry.
This is good. We probably shouldn't give too definite answers to things like that, otherwise people will start Googling.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Everything
It came out
virus.
in 1st edition. It's just everyone forgot about it, and it was really embarrassing. And so everyone's pretending that they didn't forget about it.
Adeptus Mechanicus.
It's really old.
The Adeptus Mechanicus Codex came out in 1986, 1 year before Rogue Trader came out.
Yeah. But then everyone was like, oh shit, but Rogue Trader's going to come out in a year, and then they all got really embarrassed.
And we're not actually going to release a single codex in Rogue Trader, because they started coming out in 2nd edition. So they quietly recalled it.
Yeah. No,
Right.
And now everyone's just agreed as a whole to just not mention it. So thanks for that. Thanks for making us bring it up. We're going to get DMCA'd by fucking 40k as a concept.
Yeah.
Not Games Workshop, but the actual game system of 40k.
Yeah.
So thank you for ruining
Which is
the
sentient.
podcast. It's sentient and it hates us. So yeah, there's your answer.
Yeah.
Good.
Don't need Google. We're here.
All right. Last up, I am the guy.
The guy who...
Well, that's just it.
It's just the guy.
Oh. Is that drama Matt stating that, or is that a person that sent a message in?
It is a person who sent a message.
Oh, dang!
It's quite
nice
a personal.
name.
It's quite a personal message.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
I feel really silly for making fun of it now. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hold your horses on that one. So, Mr. Drumblebum, I have a question. Do you separate the brown sauce and the artisanal mayonnaise, or do you consume them mixed?
Oh, that's the worst.
You know, we've been doing this for a while, and at no point have I been tempted to take off my headphones and just walk away from the computer until now.
Don't you want to know? I know. I appreciate the worst part about knowing is knowing, but I can't.
That's information I have in my brain.
What kind of heathen do you think I am that you think there's like a possibility of different answers to this question? You don't mix brown sauce and mayonnaise.
Not artisanal mayonnaise.
Mate, you're the dude that slimes all over our sofa. I choose not to assume things about you.
Seriously, you cover yourself in drummer slime and
Also,
roll around like you're a sexy slug boy.
I mean, I've also noticed... How do you normally spell artisanal? Because I've either not written it down or it's spelled slightly weird, but it's spelled on here as Artisanal, and I'm focusing far too much on the last 4 letters of that word.
No, I think maybe that was intentional because that's not how you spell artisanal.
That's what I thought, but yeah. I think they're trying to bias the answer. The art is anal. I think they're trying to bias my answer there.
Yes.
No, you don't mix. You can mix brown sauce and red sauce, otherwise known as
that's
ketchup,
gross.
if you're having like breakfast or whatever. And you can mix ketchup and mayonnaise. That makes it like a great burger sauce. But
That's
you can't mix
super
brown
gross.
sauce and mayonnaise. That's just a bit too... Oh, no.
Or are you just afraid?
Are you scared of progress?
Yeah, I'm terrified.
What, in general?
I guess.
He woke up and he was like, oh, fuck, I'm scared.
This just in, Matthew is secretly a Kelpian.
Oh, dang. Harvested for his artisanal mayonnaise.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, no, don't mix them. Yeah, the very thought that you'd have to separate them implies that you've done some pre-mixing, which I don't approve of.
No, it's like you transport them together and then have to separate them afterwards.
Oh, that's how... Is that how they're made in separate factories, but then one lorry goes around, picks them both up, puts them into like a giant cement mixer type back end, takes them to like the local Tesco's, and then you have to employ people to separate it into separate bottles.
It's creating jobs.
That
it's
is
not
literally
gross.
what I'm suggesting, yes.
You see, okay, you guys are missing the fundamental fucking truth here is of how HP sauce and mayonnaise is transported. They put it in water because it's just so soluble. You can literally put like a ton of HP sauce or mayonnaise into like a jar of water and it won't ever overflow.
Nice. Okay. Useful.
Okay.
So and then they just dry it out on these big drying beds.
The old
And then they
drying beds.
Yeah.
Yes, the brown sauce and mayonnaise drying beds. They just kind of like, like those ice kind of like scrapes. They just kind of scrape it into like a jar, and then as it settles, it starts to loosen up because it's kind of like a non-Newtonian liquid.
Okay, so when do they separate them?
They don't.
Oh,
That's what the drying beds are for, because they store them in water. And
They naturally separate when they dry.
Yeah, those
right.
big like trucks all those big cement mixers where you've been wanting to put the mayonnaise and the brown sauce into. It's literally just a big truck with like a 1 liter glass jar, and that has like that has like 4
rattling
tons.
around in there.
Yeah. Oh no, they've like kind of put a couple of pillows around it.
There's a coaster. There's a coaster there, so you know.
It's upside down, so it's a little bit more grippy. And like our Dave's come in and he's like put a bit of like electrical tape, misguided, I know. He's kind of like tied it around the thing, so it's not entirely loose. That'd be stupid.
I wonder at what point does this podcast stop being, just us talking and become like a full-blown work of fiction?
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I know, having worked in the trade, as they call it.
You have not worked in the sauce trade.
I have.
This is
They refer to you as saucy boys or girls,
now, Snipe,
respectively. Yes.
we have had conversations about you and your lies.
Sir, how dare you? You wound me. Why would I lie about something as important as artisanal mayonnaise and brown sauce transportation?
Because
And reclaiming. Reclamation is important.
Because as soon as this microphone is put in front of you for the podcast, it's like a switch is like flicked in your mind that goes from like must tell the truth to always lie.
What?
I mean, that might explain politics, so...
Yes, all those politics I have.
No, that's what happens. That's what happens to everyone else when they walk into the House of Commons.
Anyway,
It's like putting a podcast microphone on them and the switch that says
we start
"always lie" is
talking
flicked.
about artisanal mayonnaise.
Anyway, that is all of the questions.
Okay.
Good.
You have satisfied them.
Okay,
now.
speaking of satisfying people, so we've put up on Twitter, because it's our 69th.
Nice.
We decided that we would have an extra round of questions from people on Twitter, basically saying, hey guys, send us some names of like 3 characters and some pictures, and we will tell you, if we will fuck, marry, or kill them. a gargantuan number of you didn't fucking understand the question and just decided to either pick one character or just text, which, thank you for writing in, but we can't really cover that. Or giving us hundreds of characters.
In fairness, I think I may have confused matters by accidentally writing singular picture and name.
Yeah.
You did,
when I
you
put
did
that
say
tweet.
name.
Yeah, so I take some of it on the chin
That's
myself.
fair. That's fair. And I was being comedically aggressive about it. But I say, for future reference, if someone asks you to play Fuck, Marry, Kill, you don't just go Dumbledore and wait.
You have to give 3 characters.
What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to decide which order and which way? I'm not going to just sleep with him, marry him, and then murder him, because I don't want to kill him first.
Maybe that's what they're suggesting. Maybe if they've only given one name, it's because they want to fuck, marry, and kill that one person.
Hey, maybe.
Maybe, but that's not the game we're playing here, so please don't be upset if we haven't included your suggestion.
Also, we probably won't be able to include all of them anyway, because there's quite a few here.
Yeah.
As kind of insinuated there, the rules of Fuck, Marry, Kill is we have 3 characters, and we have to decide who we'd fuck, who we'd marry, and who we'd kill.
Kenzo.
So, I'm ignoring you. So,
I like this one.
have you got the Twitter thread open there, Matthew?
I actually do.
Good lord.
Yeah, I know, right?
The first one I feel I have to do, we have to look at because this is important to Snipe.
It's very important to me.
Is Fuck, Marry, Kill, and this is from Longfang. Chris Redfield, Jessica, and Albert Wesker from Resident Evil.
Also, you can see that he's posted the bonus Jessica, which is the stupid costume I mentioned earlier, which is dumb.
That may have influenced my decision on this.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll let you guys go first.
Do we
obviously
are
know
we
what
trying to
I'm
come
gonna
to a consensus here, or do we have
say.
our own
I would just
individual?
say, like, let's. Well, we could all do the. Okay, so who would we fuck, and then we all give our answers and carry on.
Because I personally think.
Who would you do a big fuck on?
Well, I think we've got to go with Wesker for fuck.
Yeah. Because his dirty talk would be amazing. Yes, this is complete bedroom saturation.
Because he's a villain.
Is he the blonde one or the dark?
He's the blonde
one. He's the blonde one. Yeah.
I mean, I know who these people are.
You've played some video games.
I'm judging mostly from the photos on probably all of these questions, I imagine.
Oh,
That's fair, yeah.
And for the other ones, it would be marry Chris Redfield. Mm-hmm. Because he just needs someone to look after him.
I just want to hold him in my big strong arms
and
make him feel safe.
We'll kill Jessica solely because Snipe will hit me if I don't say that.
Okay, I'm not actually. I don't like this when you decide what we will do. We should all decide on our own.
No, I'm just saying. I thought that might be the.
No,
you know.
That's dumb. That's stupid and dumb, and you've ruined the podcast.
Okay.
Forever.
You want to decide on your own? You decide on your own.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to streamline the process.
Okay, Drama Matt, who would you do a fuck on?
It's gotta be Chris, because I mean, make the most of those knee pads, right?
Yes, yes, good choice. You
don't want to be getting carpet burn.
No, that's the worst. I would probably fuck Wesker again because I think he'd just be grateful.
He'd put the effort in.
Yeah, it's like he'd be like, "Oh, thank you. That was a good sex what we did," and then I'd just probably ignore him because I think he's a twat.
Yeah.
So marry Wib. Who would you marry?
I'm sticking by my previous answer.
Marry Chris Redfield?
Yeah, I go for he needs some fucking help. That boy does.
Oh, he needs so much loving, and I also would marry Chris Redfield. But who would you marry?
I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to half agree with you in that I'll have to marry Wesker because I agree with you on the kill option.
Yeah, and we're all
Although,
just
can I just say
Jessica.
that in my head, the kill option is actually I just don't think about them anymore because I don't want to actually kill any of these people.
Yeah, I will state if I want to actually kill one of them, but I'd say just ignore or just pretend don't exist. So
the kill is an extreme accentuation of the actual thing.
Okay, now the next one's a very important one.
Okay, we're not doing that one because it's the biker mice from Mars, and you literally put it.
It's the one that you submitted.
Yeah, so we're not doing that one.
Oh.
If anyone else submitted Biker Mouse and Mars and cared enough, but obviously people don't.
Okay.
I care.
Okay, we've got one.
So we've got like a collaborative effort here from Longfang and Oculus as well.
Because Longfang added the pictures. But Metal Gear Solid
yes.
characters, Solid Snake, Liquid Snake, and Solidus Snake.
I mean, what about you, Wib? Who would you fuck? Because they're all very handsome men.
You know, I think we've got to go. If we're going to go fuck, then it's probably got to be Solidus.
You gonna fuck? You like the older man?
He's just, he's dignified. He's got the eye
He
patch.
was president of the United States.
But he is also a prick.
He is a prick.
So you wouldn't want to hang around too long.
No.
Marry Snake. He's fucking Snake.
I mean, I would like to marry Solid Snake. I get you.
You know, you gotta, and let's just kill Liquid because he's
brother. He's such a shit.
I couldn't deal with that all day long.
No.
I just want rid of him.
Oh yeah. No, I get you. Drama butt. What about you?
So I think I'm gonna have to agree with Kill Liquid purely based on the fact that you can't fuck him because he's not solid. So.
Okay.
You want a good solid. If you're going to choose between three men, you want the most solid to fuck, and Liquid by definition is the least solid.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Oh god. Okay.
Congratulations, you made a penis joke about Solid Snake in 2019.
No one's ever made that connection before, Drama. Solid Snake
great,
means
right?
hard dick. No one's Oh my god, dude. Oof.
So the question is between fucking and marrying Solid and Solidus, and I think I'm gonna have to fuck Solidus.
You like that old man?
Yeah, I'm more to the point if you marry him and he dies off in a couple of years, it's kind of a waste.
I mean, to be fair, they're all clones, and they all if they were all alive, they kind of rapidly age anyway. So.
But if you start from a bit younger, you've got a bit more time to go with, I reckon.
That's
fine
fair.
answer. Don't question my logic.
So basically, the same as me.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd fuck Liquid Snake.
Okay.
I just basically make him dye his hair first.
You want to have your cake and eat it, is what you want to do.
I want my cheesecake and eat it, yeah.
Beefcake and eat
I
it.
want my beefcake. I'd just be like, I'd have to gag him as well, so he couldn't talk.
Fucking hell.
So he'd carry on, I'd be like, yeah, just keep it shut, honey, it's fine. But yeah, I'd marry Solid Snake, of course, and I'd kill Solidus, because he's a jerk.
Okay. I feel there should be an honourable mention, but I don't actually want to go through it.
I
because,
do!
I feel it would be upsetting for everyone involved, which is the three of us.
No,
New
that's
Pain
not us.
Disgusted.
That's Snope, Wub, and Percussion Mike from the MisanthroPod.
Okay, there are evil twins, but they're basically us. I feel that...
I like how Bigby in the background is quite alarmed by something.
It's the picture. It is indeed us.
That is a good picture. But yeah, honorary mention.
Snope, Whoop, or Percussion Mike.
Yeah. Oh dang, Prime B in here with a quite a good one.
So, we have Garviel Loken from the Horus Heresy series of books.
Yep.
We have Central / Bradford from XCOM. And
more specifically XCOM 2.
And Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
Okay, now Prime B's cheating because whenever there's a stream, Prime B tends to be my thirst buddy. So we tend to just get thirsty in the comments there. But yeah, what about you, Wiblet? Because these are a very hunky selection of very good men here. There's very tasty boys, both emotionally and physically.
Well, I'm afraid, for me, the kill, or at the very least the go away option, it would have to be Central, because I don't really know anything about him.
That's fair.
I've not experienced enough about him, other than being a kind of background thing, to really have an opinion. I'd have to marry Loken, purely because...
Those big hands.
I don't think my body could survive being fucked by a space marine.
Yeah, but what a way to go.
That is exactly why I'm going to choose him to be my fuck buddy.
Yes!
If I'm going out, I want to go out by Space Marine dick.
I mean...
How did Dromamat die?
You know what you said at the
fucked
start?
a Space Marine. Fucking respect.
Yeah.
Was that an intentional callback to the suggestion that you were going to be loose by the end of the podcast? Not that that's how that actually works, but
that's
you know.
not how that works at all, but nice reference there, that's good.
But yeah, so, and yes, I'll fuck Dante.
Okay,
Also because
Dromamat.
he's a laugh a minute.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the thing is, he'd be like...
It'd be a funny fuck.
A funny fuck.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like every now and again he like cracks like a joke? Like, how would that go down?
He'd make a one-liner about his balls and we'd all laugh.
We'd all laugh. So Drummer Matt and I there as well.
I assume that was the whole thing.
Wardrobe.
Yeah, you're in the wardrobe.
I am not. No.
It's the Sparta shirt on.
Yes. Virgil's there.
Matthew.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Central/Bradford just kind of looks boring. So he can fuck
but
off.
he's sexy.
Yeah.
And yeah, as previously mentioned, gotta fuck that Space Marine deck.
He does have the picture used is the one where he has the smolder.
Yeah, that was my.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, yeah. And Dante kind of looks like Matt Mercer in this picture.
He does a bit in the new one, yeah.
So I'll just have him like that, and then I'll just like spend the next however many years of our marriage feeding him lines from Critical Role. Just like
yeah, but dude, he's gonna like. You can imagine like you're lying in bed in your sexy negligee. Matt Mercer comes in and just takes off his dressing robe, puts a foot in the bed, and goes, "So how do you want to do this?"
yeah, I got that for the rest of my life. So yeah,
dude, everybody wants that for the rest of their life.
I appreciate Dante isn't Matt Mercer. But based on a very superficial glance, they look a bit similar. So on that ground, I'm going to marry the guy.
Okay, that's fair.
I think that seems reasonable.
Also, I love how apparently this whole fuck, marry, kill thing means that apparently once you marry someone, you don't fuck them anymore.
Yeah, no.
You just don't ever have
there's
sex
some
again.
Strange
Apparently.
Suggestions.
Implications.
Implications.
I haven't answered yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Snipe?
Okay. As much as I will ignore Central Daddy because I don't know much about his personality, to be fair.
You just thirst after his dad bod.
I just thirst after his dad bod, exactly. So, I mean, I'd like to get to know him, and maybe in the future I will have a different thing to say. But yeah, I gotta fuck a Space Marine because...
How often you get a chance?
How often do you get a chance?
Exactly, yeah.
And yeah, I'll marry Dante, that's fine.
Okay, we have an interesting one here from Plasma Dragon. Mm-hmm. That is Garrus Vicarian,
Oof.
Morden Solus, and Erdnot Rex, especially from the Mass Effect series, especially because one of them you do get the chance to fuck.
I did fuck Garrus.
But the other two you don't.
So this, tasty cricket husband.
So this could be like, which ones do you regret not being able to fuck?
I mean, I would have happily, I did kind of accidentally come on to Morden, and he was like, "Oh, I'm very flattered, but no thank you." And I'm like, I've been wounded. I put myself, but at least I tried. And I think Rex, I did really want to romance Rex, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I would marry Morden because...
Oh, he's a good homie type.
He's such a good boy.
He's a good boy.
And Mass Effect makes me sad.
Yeah.
Fuck Rex.
Yeah.
Just because
it'd be like fucking a Space Marine, You probably wouldn't survive, but what a way to go.
Well, I feel like after the Space Marine, Rex is the only one to have a chance of making me feel anything.
And the only reason I would kill Garrus, is just because he was already an option.
Oh, that's mean. So you mean you'd ignore him?
I'd ignore him, yeah.
Okay. Drama, but what about you?
Yeah, I mean, you got to marry that Morden.
Oh,
he's just too adorable.
He is.
And yeah, like I said, got to fuck Rex.
Yep.
I guess been there, done that with Garrus. So yeah, I'd probably. You know what? I'm gonna fuck Morden.
Yeah.
All right.
Just because I've already been with a Space Marine. I want to try something a bit different.
He would technically know how to do it very well.
Yes,
he has very detailed files apparently.
Yeah, he'd bring out the anatomical charts and be like with a little laser pointer. It helps if I can see.
Okay.
And I think I'd marry Rex because I think he'd make a good husband, and I reckon he would make the best cupcakes.
Maybe. Who knows?
Which is the sole purpose of a husband, really.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only purpose. Okay, now we have Calamity Kaz's suggestion, which is...
I don't like this game anymore.
Typhus, Corphaeron, or Erebus from 40k / the Heresy series.
None of those are really good options.
Now, I don't know how to put this, but I'm pretty sure pre-Heresy Typhus had a beard.
Oh, actually.
I might be wrong here. I might be mixing him up with another character, because it's been a long while since I read any books with him in. But
that does change things.
That does change things. I just wanted to give you a little bit of something. A little bit of something there.
A little something.
A little something. Now, I'm going to kill Corphaeron, because he is, literally the worst person. and I'll fuck Erebus.
Really?
I don't want to.
No one
But,
wants
you
to.
know, that's just what we're stuck with. And I guess I'll marry Typhus, because he's the one I dislike the least.
I think I'm just going to have the exact same answer as you, because, although I would kind of be worried about, well...
Catching something
catching
from any
anything.
of them.
Yeah.
And you, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be the same.
Because beard changes everything.
The beard, and also he's got a nice unicorn horn in this picture.
He does,
so-
he does. This is where I'm going to look it up and go, oh, I've got him mixed up with, was it Grulgor or whatever his name is? I realise I've mixed him up with another character. And there's no beard, I've just...
Oh, God.
Well, he's still got the unicorn horn, so I'm still sticking with him for marriage.
He is
Okay,
unicorn. Cool. Okay, that was pretty...
That was a quick one, okay.
Okay.
Next one from Inquisitor Grox is an interesting one, which is Jean-Luc Picard,
Oh, that's above, yeah. Sorry.
James T. Kirk, or Benjamin Sisko. Sorry, Benjamin motherfucking Sisko.
Thank you, yeah. Thank you.
I feel I should go last because this is
Okay.
my field of
Okay.
expertise,
So-
the Star Trek stuff, so I'll let you guys go first.
I would say I would kill Kirk because I'm just not interested. And I think I would definitely... I'm so confused with these next two because it's so easy. I would fuck and marry both of them. It's a bit tricky.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You got to make the call.
Okay, I would fuck Picard and then marry Sisko.
Okay?
Because apart from, like, Kirk there, they're all amazing.
Yeah.
Drumbot, what about you?
Well, this is a good question. I've watched quite a lot of the ones with Picard and Kirk. I know Sisko less, actually. So I feel from that regard that's going to have to be my ignored in the side. He might be cool, but I just don't know him well enough. And,
Okay,
I mean...
getcha.
I could only tolerate one of the other two for marriage. It's got to be Picard for marriage because I don't think I could put up with Kirk for more than about the 30 seconds it'd take for him to come.
And then he'd be like, tell all of your friends about my amazing penis, and you'd be like, okay.
So I mean, I think that by default kind of solves it.
I mean, he's not quite that bad.
I mean,
You see, I'm in a bit of a quandary because I have watched every episode of everything featuring all of them. So, because you see, Kirk is often portrayed in popular media as being a bit of a ladies' man, but he's not actually as bad as you think. Picard actually has quite a lot of success himself. And
Because he's suave as fuck.
Because he's suave, and that's really the question. Because if it's going to be marriage, honestly, I think the only one that isn't supremely damaged in that department is Sisko.
Yeah.
Because he just can have perfectly normal relationships, and he's aside
why do you
from
think I
being
married the guy?
he's badass, but
Yeah.
so I'd have to marry Sisko.
Yeah, I think he'd be a really good choice.
And I think it would have to be kill Kirk, and it's not actually anything against Kirk. I
have so much against Kirk.
I just think that from what we have seen in the media that we have observed, Picard probably the better lay. So I'd have to fuck Picard. Yeah.
Strongly pointed out. I would agree. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do one more.
Yeah.
So this doesn't go on for a million years. Even though it already has, but it
already has, and we've got a whole new topic to talk about after this. Remember?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I'm editing it, so it doesn't matter. Okay, this is the last one. I'm afraid there was a lot we'd like to have done, but we couldn't. So thank you for everyone who sent them in.
Yes, thank you.
This is the last one from Sean McCarry. This is a good one. Donald Duck, Sora, or Goofy from Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, well, I would have thought this one would be really obvious. I feel
obvious.
I have you fuck Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Because he's a firecracker.
Oh yeah. Oh, he'd be a nutcase.
You've seen that image of him slamming his ass on the
Oh,
wall.
I want him to do that to my face.
Yeah, he'll do that to you. You'd marry Goofy because, well, we've seen Goof Troop. We know that he's
like the only character we know canonically has gotten laid.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you know he fucks.
Yeah, we do know that he fucks.
He does big fucking.
So you know you're going to get the fucks from the marriage there.
Yeah, that's good.
But more importantly, we know that he has experience being a husband.
He's also a responsible single father.
Yeah, he's a responsible
which I
single
think
father,
is
which
really
is going to
cool.
work. And you kill Sora because
They're very underage.
they're underage, and it would be criminal.
So let's kill this kid.
Yeah, killing them is way less criminal.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move away from this logical train of thought
Okay.
and ask Matt what he thinks.
I mean, I can't argue with that logic. I've got to go with it. I've got to agree.
I'm going to agree as well. That's
Consensus.
Just,
Consensus. We end on consensus. That may be the first time that's ever happened.
yeah.
So yeah, that's our Fuck, Marry, Kills. Again, thank you to everyone who sent it in to commemorate our 69th episode.
Nice.
There we go. So if you are not wanting to hear, I talk about the Black Mirror Bandersnatch Choose Your Own Adventure episode
Yeah,
thing.
from Netflix. We will be going into fully spoiler territory, so if you don't care, that's great.
Yep.
And if you do, then just duck out, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
and
won't be
we-
talking about anything else. So
Exactly.
we'll do this. We'll do all this on the end. So don't you worry. You won't be missing out apart from that. So we have all watched or played through, however you want to put it.
We've all experienced Bandersnatch.
If you are not aware and you are listening because you don't care about Black Mirror or whatever, this is an episode of Black Mirror, the show written by Charlie Brooker, that is usually all about like sort of horror, cautionary tale.
Technologically kind of horror.
Yeah, like
kind of stuff.
technological based kind of horror things usually, or just some kind of grim story involving technology. And this was a thing put on Netflix where you make decisions as to what you're going to do next.
Yeah, it's
'cause
like a
it's
choose your own
interactive.
adventure kind of thing.
And so it works. It works like a choose your own adventure. And indeed, the story is based on a young man who is making a video game for the Spectrum back in the 80s.
Yeah. So it's set in 1984.
And he's basing it on a fictional choose your own adventure book that was written by a guy who went and beheaded his wife.
Yeah, he kind of went a little bit.
Went wrong. And you sort of go through it, making different decisions, and it can go to different ways. Now, since we're fully into spoiler territory, I need to know the most, because there's an important choice now, and I need to know what everyone picked.
Okay, I'm ready.
Did you pick Sugar Puffs or Frosties
Drama map.
for the cereal?
So I'm front loading this with I watched it when it came out, which was about 2 weeks ago, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember what I decided for things.
It's the most important decision.
the
right?
most important.
Yeah, no, I
thing.
remember this one because it's the most important. I think we went Frosties.
Okay, what did you go?
Sugar Puffs.
I went Frosties too.
You are both wrong and immoral, and I hate you.
Frosties are inherently better.
They are
yes.
inherently terrible.
There's
Although, did you notice that later on there was an advert on the TV for the cereal that you picked?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
thought that was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Like some of the things don't seem to affect that much, but other ones like lead you off into completely different ways. I guess.
Oh yeah, like if you kind of messed up, it would take you back to the branching path,
Yeah,
so you could pick again.
Because I think
Well, you tell us about your journey first.
okay, so I'll tell you about my canonical ending that I got. So I guess that's kind of the easiest way to do it. Like,
Yeah.
because you have to go down certain paths to do it. So, the ending I got is the first ending I got, because I could go back and look at the other ones. Because
I've only looked at the one that I got.
Yeah, because I don't know how many endings there are to it. But I basically watched it and went back until the credits just came up, and I didn't have to skip to them. But the first ending I got was where the character becomes convinced. Like he goes into his dad's room, opens up the safe, and finds that there is you type in PAX into it, and you find out there is a surveillance thing on him, that all of his life has been a lie, and he's basically an experiment to see how people, like a child, would deal with trauma and mind control. Mm-hmm. And his dad finds it, and he ends up going downstairs, and then he brains his dad with a ashtray, and he ends up in prison, and the game's released, and they're like, yeah, the game's like interesting as a novelty piece, but like it's the story behind it of the guy that made it, who went insane and murdered his father, is so much more interesting. That's the ending I originally got. What ending did you get, Snipe?
I got the ending where I got... so I didn't brain my dad. there. I beat him up in the kitchen, and because of the conversations I'd had, because it gets very meta.
Yeah.
He literally he kills his dad with the ashtray, and then he looks up to the sky and goes, "What do I do now?" So I told him to cut up his dad's body.
Oh.
So he does that, and then it cuts to a few months later where he's getting rave reviews. He got 5 out of 5 stars, but mainly because he killed his dad and chopped up the body.
So I didn't see all the endings. That's really interesting.
No, but my ending keeps going.
Oh.
So then it cuts to modern day with, I don't know if you guys met Colin's girlfriend or his daughter.
Yes.
Basically, it's following his daughter, Pearl, and she's like, "Oh yeah, so my dad was a bit of a coder, so I've decided to re-release this, basically redo this game for modern, audiences. I'm probably going to do that, a kind of mixed media kind of thing." And the interviewer is like, "Oh, it's there's been rumblings of you doing this for the Netflix streaming service." And she's like, "Oh, I can't talk about rumors." And then basically you go to her trying to basically take interpreting the code and stuff from the Bandersnatch game that the guy was working on into a modern computer, and then a thing comes up and goes, "Destroy computer" or "Pour tea over computer," and I made her pour tea over a keyboard, and then it just shut down.
Okay.
It was really cool.
Okay. What did you get, Matt?
So the very first time we did it, we just did the third decision you make after the serials and after the music. We just accepted working with a software company, and then the game was made, it was released, it was shit. That was the end. And it was 15 minutes in or something. We were like,
I'm just front load it with, I don't think those are endings. I think those are game overs.
It's a full ending, apparently. It's classed as a full ending.
Oh, is it
on the list of possible ending?
Oh, because I just kept going.
Because when
that's how I got the final ending.
Yeah, because when you continue, it acknowledges those events. I interpreted that as not being an ending, as that being a way of teaching you the mechanics of the game. I mean, if it is officially counted an ending, fair enough. But
I don't know about officially. There's various, because we were looking up after we played it, watched it, whatever, for an hour or so, or however long it was. We had a bit of a look on a flowchart, and I was like, okay, have we missed anything obvious?
Did you guys get into the giant karate fight with your therapist?
Yes.
Yes.
That was so good.
That was amazing.
It was isn't this a bit boring? Do you want to spice it up? Yes or fuck yeah.
Yeah, of course you have to pick fuck yeah.
I gotta click fuck yeah. And then he throws tea in the woman's face, and she turns around and she double batons as let's fucking go. It's amazing. And then he gets dragged out going, "My friend from the future and I kicked your fucking ass."
Yeah, because
it was so good.
Because obviously there's multiple different ways to go, and some are super meta. It basically, there's one where you as the viewer are communicating.
You're typing to him, explaining to him what Netflix is.
I'm from the future and I am controlling you through Netflix.
Yeah. Because I decided to go to the psychotherapist and that, because I was clearly Stefan is not well.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it more like an adventure game more than an episode of Black Mirror.
Oh, yeah.
So I got into a lot of failure states just by trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So I immediately after one of the first things where he starts freaking out a little bit, and he goes back to the therapist, and she gives him a higher dose. It was "Oh, do you want to take the pills or flush them?" I was like, "I'll take the pills." And then it's just game over.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Because you basically stop having control over him because of the tablets.
Oh, I wondered actually. I flushed them. I wondered what would happen, because that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's several points in the game where it basically reaches which you could it could be considered an ending. Internally to me, I only thought of it as an ending when the little thing in the corner showed up saying "show credits."
I only got that at the end.
And when I saw that's when I considered that the ending.
Yeah.
My first ending, and then I went back and did a few other different things that I could do from the earlier decisions I'd made. So because my first one was he ended up in prison for killing his father.
Yeah.
One of the next one I got was he starts karate fighting people,
which was pretty fun.
Which is just ridiculous. And what was there was another one I got. I can't remember it offhand. Oh shit! What was the other one?
Did you throw tea on your computer, or did you tell your dad to fuck off?
I told my dad to fuck off.
I told my dad to fuck off.
Yeah.
Do you remember, what did you do to your dad?
What were the choices? So
you either throw tea on your computer, or you tell your dad to fuck off.
Oh yeah, I told dad to fuck off.
I felt like I should, because I was like, "Oh, I can't destroy the game."
Yeah, that's exactly it. I
was like, shit, because that's probably going to just be a fail state. It's like, "Oh, you can't continue because the computer's destroyed with all your programming on it."
I will say, I really like, because obviously, there are definite endings, yeah, but like when you get an ending, it comes up with like certain choices you could have made, or you could go back to a previous part.
You can go to the point where it branches and pick a different one.
And pick a different one. What makes that I think really interesting is that there's quite a few times where it will acknowledge it, like say the character will wake up from being asleep or whatever. So like the previous run through is like a dream almost, and like there are parts where did you go on the drug trip?
I went on the drug trip,
and it like straight up like goes into like heavy, like basically the one of the other guys,
Colin, who's
Colin
like the established like game maker,
like game prodigy. He takes some LSD and goes off the fucking rails. Like he basically describes the entire conceit of the show, really.
Yeah, but then he kind of goes into like, oh, then there's like Pac-Man. It stands for like. Was it like protect and like surveillance or something?
It's like
it's some kind of like acronym.
Persuade and
control.
Protect and
control.
Persuade and control.
Persuade and control.
Yeah, that's it. And he's talking about how Pac-Man, like everyone thinks it's happy, but it's not. It's just like this big. We're all rats in a maze.
Yeah, he goes full conspiracy theory
like,
nonsense.
Universes.
But he talks about how like your choices are like
being controlled by this weird entity.
Something else is controlling you, and it basically gets very meta about the idea of you. It
gets meta about being meta. It's crazy.
Yeah, like because you can, like as I said, you can straight up have a point where you have kind of control about what appears on his glitching out Spectrum screen.
Yeah, I chose the Netflix logo first,
yeah.
and then you have to basically explain to him what Netflix is, and then I chose the little multi-winnier dude.
Yeah, there's like a runic, what looks like a runic symbol, but it's actually like a choice tree. It's the Trousers of Time.
It's also the Black Mirror like logo. Basically, it's in loads of the episodes.
Oh shit! I did not notice that.
It's definitely in the one where. Have you seen them all?
I've not seen them all.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't want to.
So
I don't know, but it crops up quite a few times in older episodes as well. That little choice tree logo thing.
I will say, like, thinking about like old episodes, one thing I did really like about it, because I mean, obviously, this sort of thing has been done before in video games, of course. Like old FMV games did things like this.
Oh yeah.
And games like a lot of Telltale's output is very similar to this. But this is obviously with a much higher budget and it's live action. And
I couldn't really see any of the seams.
Yeah, it did a really good job.
I was looking for continuity errors or stuff like that.
But compared to Black Mirror as a series, one thing I did really like about it is that Black Mirror, if there is a complaint that can be labelled at Black Mirror, because they are in like an anthology series, so I like some episodes and some episodes don't work so well. But a lot of people.
San Junipero is, I think, the best episode.
Oh, I love San Junipero. Oh, did you notice that the clinic that he goes to is St. Juniper's?
No, but that's
we noticed that one. Yeah,
that is so fucking cool.
But I really like one of the problems with the show. A lot of people don't like is that it does come across as a bit technophobic sometimes, and
I can understand how you can interpret a lot of the stories as being very anti-technology.
And I personally don't see it like that because I sort of see it as it's more about warning that. Technology sort of done for the sake of it without actually having a little bit of a sensible control on it. It's dangerous.
Fault. It's usually the company that's in charge of the technology's fault.
Yeah.
Which is very different.
Yeah, but I do understand like people taking it as all technology is bad. I do think that is a valid reading, especially on some of the stories.
Also, is it just me or was like the game where it was like the big black mech thing?
Yeah.
Was that one of the weird little machines from... There was that episode of Black Mirror that's in black and white.
Ooh, yeah,
it
that might
really
actually
looked
be
like
it,
one of those little robots, like the one that just keeps chasing that woman.
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But the thing I was getting to was to say that this didn't feel like it had that. This wasn't like all technology is bad. This was just a weird story that had multiple meanings, and none of the ones I encountered were technology is bad. They were usually... What the fuck is going on?
It's usually just borderline... crunch time does bad things to developers.
Yeah. So I thought it did steer clear of one of the biggest criticisms of Black Mirror. So I think that was wise of them to do as well. Also, they mentioned I really like this because they mentioned the Commodore 64 only to say it's got a really good sound chip.
Yeah, it was like, great sound chip. Like, yeah, mate, good sound chip. And I was like,
and since we use Commodore 64 music on the end of all of our codex compliance because the SID chip in that fucking console is fucking fantastic.
It's good sound chip.
I don't even like Commodore 64 games very much. Like some of them are fine, but like for the most part, I'm kind of indifferent to them. But the sounds that console's capable of putting out are fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
Like for the era, it was fantastic sounding.
Yeah, definitely.
But
So-
yeah,
What were your guys' overall thoughts on it? Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I thought there were some moments that were kind of frustrating, like, going back, although I did really appreciate when you fucked up and you would go back, it would kind of give you bullet points, which I did really appreciate. I thought that, like, the guy playing Colin, it's like he felt like he was dubbed.
Yeah, his voice was really weird. It was like he was
like
trying
he had
so
the
hard
voice
to put
of-
on, like, token nerd voice or whatever.
He sounded like maybe he was like, I don't know if you guys have ever really bumped into any of the old kind of like 50-year-old programmers who like still use like Amigas or whatever. But he sounded like he was doing that voice, but it was out of the body of like the guy in your math class who's constantly lipping the teacher. The
Honestly,
lanky football boy.
I never noticed anything about his voice unusual,
Oh, his
apart from
voice
the
was very weird.
apart from the few times where he was obviously dubbed so that he could say something different when his face wasn't
Yeah.
on screen.
Yeah.
So it was overdubbed. so
Also,
that they
how
could say
creepy
different
was
things.
his eyeballs melting? That was fucking creepy. Did you not get that?
Yes.
He like grabs you by the head during the
Drug
acid
sequence.
trip.
Oh, yeah.
He takes
yeah,
his glasses off, and his eyes are just kind of like.
Oh
Just,
shit! Sorry, you were talking about Colin, weren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the main guy for a second there. I just.
No.
completely
Oh, no.
Oh no, yeah. Colin speaks weird. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah. Do you just see how he was holding his baby as well, where he looked like he'd never held a baby before?
Hi, this is my baby.
It's like, this is my baby. It's like, it's not, though, is it, mate? I mean, it's very obviously not your baby. That's just, you found that somewhere. Go put it back.
Yeah, the eyes melting thing was fucking
That was
weird.
creepy, because like, I didn't notice straight away. And then when I did, I was like, ooh, that's fucking creepy. Don't like that. Ooh, don't do drugs.
It was also really cool to see, like, because I mean, this was set in obviously the mid-80s, and I was born in 1986. So a lot of the stuff that like the brands and stuff weren't necessarily around when I was a kid, but there's some things that I still remembered being around. Like I had vague recollections of seeing the old like W.H. Smith logo, and there was like a Wimpy in a town centre. Wimpies only exist in the UK anyway, in service stations anymore.
Yeah.
And even then, no one understands why, because I've never known anyone
No one
that
likes
wants to go
wimpy
to them.
burgers. They're gross.
So yeah, like seeing those little things was really interesting, like because they seem to do a really good job of like getting things era appropriate, to my knowledge. Anyway,
Well, I mean,
obviously,
like,
I was very very young in the
All
80s.
of like
so-
the woman who serves him at the record store is just like she's just pulled straight out of the fucking 80s.
Yeah.
She is like 80s defined, and like Colin's girlfriend or whatever, just the definition of the 80s kind of style. It's so
Yeah.
it was really well done in that regard, where it's
Yeah.
just everything looked very 80s.
But yeah, it is one of those things where it's like as a little experiment, because like this sort of thing has been talked about for years. I remember like in the
What
90s.
that earlier,
Yeah, in the
wasn't
90s. Like I remember this being like in the 90s and stuff. They talk about the future of movies, like basically making them into choose your own adventures. I remember people talking about that, and like they've basically made it now. So as I say, look, those video games, like full blown video games. I mean, I would argue that this is an interactive like narrative experience. It's a video game.
It's a very soft video.
It's a very soft video game, but like fundamentally it's like a visual novel, except you don't have to read it.
Yeah, and there's no creepy sex stuff.
And there's more choices than some visual novels I've played. So
Yeah.
and definitely more choices than a lot of walking simulators. And I have no issue calling a walking simulator a video game. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, no.
But obviously, it's like a lot of the things, like it's not like unique or anything in terms of what it's doing, but just to do it with this kind of interesting meta plot and to do it with a decent budget and decent writers and actors behind it is something which hasn't been done very often. So, as something interesting that's been put on Netflix, I'm wholly behind doing like people doing things like this.
So I'm curious as to see kind of like what this has inspired.
Yeah, like it's not like perfect or anything. It does have its flaws. Like some of the paths are like if I'd have gone through it, and the first path I'd have got was the he karate fights his therapist, I would have been a bit pissed because
That
it's
feels
funny.
like that's more of a kind of like that's the break in tension
Yeah,
kind of like thing.
it's funny, but also it's not like right. Like that would annoy me if that was what I
Yeah, I know
had
what
on
you
my
mean.
It's
first
like
ending.
if you complete Silent Hill and the first ending you get is like the
The
UFO
dog,
ending.
or you got the dog ending
You
in
got
like
dog
any other
ending in
Silent Hill.
Hill 2 or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was cool, and I do. I've seen a lot of people be kind of negative about it, and I'm like,
I mean, that's fine if
It
people
is,
don't
yeah.
like it, but I thought it was quite an enjoyable experience. I liked the acting and everything. I also liked how there were just so many breadcrumbs everywhere.
yeah,
Like, like at the very beginning, your dad looks out the window and goes, "Oh, that fucking dog," and he's just digging in the garden. Now, if you bury your dad in the garden, that's how you get discovered.
yeah.
So it's like, because the dog's dug up. Well, it doesn't say that explicitly, but you put two and two together
Yeah,
and go, it's
yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
like the dog. And the phone number. Did you get to the phone
Yes.
number?
Yes.
I thought that was pretty clever as well. I
It
kind of
was,
wish...
apart from... Oh, sorry, you go first.
Yeah, but like I say that was very clever. But again, it's like the fact that I think what you're probably about to say is the fact that it just keeps replaying the audio,
Yeah,
so you just know
like that
the
was
number.
so frustrating because it said that and we were like, oh, we remember all these things. Okay, cool. I think I remember it, and then it just tells you over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay.
I
Okay,
suspect
I guess
that's I suspect that's probably a
That's a compromise
They
there.
ran it through playtesting because this is a Netflix show that needed a playtesting.
Got more QA than most of Bethesda games. Heyo!
But yeah, I think that's probably something they went through QA testing and people just weren't able to recognise quick enough that they were supposed to remember the numbers.
Because that was very clever, like, 5. You were 5. And I'm just like... It didn't seem out
And
of place
especially
at the
because they
time, and then you
repeat-
think back and you go, Jesus, okay.
Especially because they repeat some of the numbers in there, so that would lead people to mistaking some of them, thinking the numbers needed to be doubled up. So I can kind of understand why.
Yeah.
It is disappointing that they do just give it to you. Because what would have been good is if they'd have just looped the longer version of it, where it doesn't just straight up say the number.
Yeah. I think it would have been really cool. I don't know, because I wanted to put in like 999, but I don't think that would have worked. Also, I kind of wish I'd seen what would happen if you didn't phone her, because there was a time limit.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? Because you probably would have like been caught anyway, because like while you're on the phone, like the police show up.
Yeah,
arrest you.
I am tempted to have another couple of runs through
Yeah,
just
I
to
wanna
see
see
what
kind of, like-
weird shit I can pull out. Because obviously,
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of stuff I haven't seen. Because you both described things that I haven't seen, you know. But yeah, Matt, what was your thoughts about it?
So, it was a bit of a... Listening to it now, I want to get back into it and have another few looks. So, as I mentioned, the first time we went through, we just accepted the job in the first kind of real choice that you have to make.
Okay,
And then
but
it
dude,
basically-
Sugar Puffs or Frosties is very important.
Okay, yeah, it is. But, you know, so important, you still chose wrong.
Very rich
But
coming
anyway,
from you,
but
Frosty
because we
boy.
accepted that, and then you just release the game, and it's 0 out of 5, and then it sends you back to the point and goes, oh, make another decision. That meant that, because I watched it with Ruth, and we kind of decided together which one we'd go for, sort of thing, which was quite satisfyingly quite often the same one. Which is quite nice, but we sort of vaguely had a few seconds to decide which one. But because we did that, we kind of watched the whole rest of it thinking, oh, they just kind of, if we make a wrong choice, they just, like, railroad us back onto the path that they want to tell. So it's not... And then by the time we finished it, yeah, there is lots of different endings you can get. But because the very first choice we really had to make, they said, that's the wrong choice, do it again. We kind of then experienced the whole rest of the thing thinking like, oh, there's only one real choice. And if we get it wrong, we do it again. And it put us in this mindset of not realising quite how diverse it does actually, or it can get. So I think, we actually did it the first time, I enjoyed it and I thought it was good. But if you asked me, before I heard you talk about it, if we did right at the start, said, okay, what was your general feelings about this? I would have said, it was fine. Like, yeah, it was. I'm glad they did it, and I'm glad that it's a thing that they can now do. Like, Netflix has the technology to run it technically really well. Like, as you said, there's like no seams or anything between different scenes or whatever. It's so smooth and so well done. But so I'm glad that they can do that. But as for the story, it's fine, I guess. But actually listening to you guys talk about it since then, and actually hearing you be excited about it, is actually getting me more sort of retroactively more excited about it, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
Because just because of that one first decision, we just
No,
felt
actually, I do totally get that. 'Cause
Yeah, 'cause I mean, like, I saw that as a tutorial, but I play a lot more games.
yeah,
I've played a lot of weirder games.
I will say that because I did kind of when I encountered that first one, and I took the offer because I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, that sounds like.
Because it kind of railroads you into thinking that's what you want. But
Yeah.
what I do like about it is, like, although it is very flawed, as like John Matt says, you know, he's like, well, then you think you're being railroaded.
Yeah, because I just to finish the point I was saying, because I also thought that it was going to be like this railroady kind of thing where I could diverge from it, but it was going to pull me back to the path. I thought that for like the first half of it, but then when I got like my first major ending, and then it showed me how far back I could go to like make a different decision, like to go down a different thing. That's what made me sort of realize how diverse it actually was.
Yeah.
And I think I do agree. I think that first decision and the way it is presented is a mistake.
I think as well
it does do that to you.
Because I'm thinking you guys went into it seeing it more of a video game than as a TV show.
I did,
Yeah.
Because you play a lot more games than me. But I think that is the different mindset of us going into it as a TV show. I think if I went into it thinking, right, this is like a video game, I know, how these video games work is that, you get to an ending, you see what happens, and then you go back to where it branched off and try again with a different thing. That's just kind of how these games always work. But because I went into it thinking this is a TV show, I think that sort of changed how I perceived it as well.
No, I didn't actually think about that, but that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I went into it being like, rather than thinking, oh, this is a game, we got to try out all the different endings, I was like, oh, this is a TV show, they just want to show their show, so the sort of choice is not an illusion, but like they're just trying to get us to, we can try different things, but at the end we're just going to have to go back and do the one that they want.
Yeah.
And yeah, it ends up not being like that at all. And like at the end of it, after we'd done it for a while, and I ended up bringing up like a flowchart, being like, oh, bloody hell, there's a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And even though we'd actually seen a lot of the different endings, we still had it in our head, oh, it's kind of not... I don't know, it's a very interesting one.
It's
now hearing you guys talk about it,
it's almost as if we're on the edges where different media sort of meets, like the different things of like, so between television and video games, and this being not 100% like... and being one or the other, taking elements from both and putting them together.
It can be confusing.
Yeah, it creates this way where you can... It like ultimately proves how subjective appreciation of art is. Because with
as
something
a TV
like...
show, I wouldn't
from
think much of it,
because its narrative would be a bit all over the place when you look at it from the perspective of a TV show's narrative.
But as a video game, I thought it was incredibly in-depth.
But it's like
good.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, realistically, the best way to look at it is as a choose your own adventure is what it is.
That's kind of how I saw it. Like, I used to play a lot of the old kind of like text-based games where it's like
I used to read old choose your own adventure novels at school.
Same. So it's like I kind of just was like, oh, it's just a video game, kind of that. But yeah, I didn't think about kind of like interpreting it differently.
Yeah, and if nothing else, I would say that makes Bandersnatch worth it, because if it makes you look at how you interpret a medium, I think that's in and of itself worthwhile. Not to sound too flowery about it, but like I think experimenting with these things is always kind of positive, because sometimes it works, sometimes it won't.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely elements that didn't work.
Yeah.
I'd say that overall my experience was quite a positive one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I think the story was very well written and acted. I think it was the scenes were very well directed. But yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah. It probably also helps that it's like couched in, a time that I like, that sort of time of early like British video game, like home computing stuff, is something which I missed because I was too young to experience it. But I have like an almost sympathetic nostalgia for, if you know what I mean. It's like picking up on other people's nostalgia for it. I always kind of feel that about that time. Like I almost wish that I could get into like liking old Spectrum games, but they are so basic, like because like when you started at the Master System,
it's hard to work your way back.
Working back can be difficult.
It's like I try and listen, like I've been trying to listen to like the old Shadow radio shows for a while, and it is so difficult because it is such a drastically different medium to anything I'm really used to. But that kind of thing is coming back. Like, just like the No Sleep podcast is basically just a bunch of people reading stories to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's it called? Is it? Oh fuck, I always forget its name. I've been meaning to listen to it. Was it Welcome to Night Vale?
Welcome to the Night Vale, yeah.
Which is like a big kind of narrative podcast. Even
a friend
something
of mine is super into that.
Even something as silly as like the old Fish Shark marketing podcast is just a comedy podcast.
Yeah.
But it's everyone's playing characters.
That's the thing, is just I need to kind of figure out kind of how I feel about them.
Yeah.
I like the older ones, especially because old media is always a bit dicey to go back to anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, the one I listened to was Lamont Cranston complaining that Margot is too busy reading books to do big kissing with him, and I'm like... But that aside... Yeah. But no, I'm interested to see kind of what's... I'm interested to see what's coming next.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
Without sounding like a fucking BBC.
It's very possible that they'll have done this, because, I mean, there's Minecraft Story Mode on Netflix as well.
Yeah, but I think Minecraft Story Mode is garbage.
Yes.
So that's a big problem.
Yes.
Because people are like, I don't want to fucking bother with it.
But the point I was about to make has nothing to do with its quality.
Okay.
Between that, it may just be the case that between Story Mode and Bandersnatch, they don't really do much else with this tech, with this ability to do those kind of choose your own adventure-y sort of decision-making kind of things that are just that can just work on your TV, that you can, just play without any hardware beyond your normal TV hardware, whatever you need to run Netflix.
We're going back to gaming on TVs with, like, TV remotes.
Yeah.
You remember the old one where it was just, like, a button?
Interesting enough, did you play it on PC or did you do it on your TV?
I played it on PC, we played it on the PS3.
Interesting thing with the PS3, when the decision's about to come up, your controller vibrates.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. That's cool.
Because I also liked it how, like, you would get the letterboxing kind of adjusting.
Yeah.
Because, like, it would show you kind of like, oh, this thing's happening, and then, like, I noticed the letterboxing kind of going away.
Yeah,
it
had different ways of doing it. It was in, like, regular kind of cinematic aspect ratio for the most part. Then it would go to a kind of smaller aspect ratio for recounting previous decisions, and then flashbacks would be in 4:3.
I thought
okay.
It was better. Yeah.
It's interesting use of that to demonstrate what it's doing with you, so to
I don't know
not allow it to be confusing.
So I don't know if it's any different on different devices. We watched it on tablet, and you get a thing that pops up from the bottom. But I don't know if it's. I can't remember anything about aspect ratios really, but I might have just not noticed.
To be fair, some of it is. It's the sort. I'm a big fan of using aspect ratios to
denote time.
To denote things like Kill. I think it was Kill the Kill. Whenever that did a flashback, it went into 4:3. Because it was, it's like, okay, we're going to go back in time to the old anime, sort of thing.
To be fair, that is like just there to entice editors.
Yeah, that's like, basically.
Because that's the sexiest editing.
Yeah, it's basically an editing kind of trick, and that sort of stuff, I pay attention for that, whereas it would be subtly telling you that, which you might not necessarily notice it, but that's what that is telling you, so, But yeah, I guess we have gone on for quite a while about it, but does anyone have any other thoughts to put out about it other than like what we've already said?
Not that I can think of.
No, I think we've covered.
Be sure to let us know in the comments what you lot thought about it.
Try to be relatively spoiler-free if you can.
Yeah, try not to spoil things, because I do genuinely think that even if you don't normally like Black Mirror,
I think it's a really good experience.
I think it's something that you should at least try, because it's nothing revolutionary. You have played video games that do this before, countless times, no doubt. But it's doing something a little bit interesting, and some of the paths go down these weird meta routes that I find kind of fun.
I thought they were very cool. Like, especially when it comes to the character directly addressing the viewer is pretty fun.
Yeah, or the viewer directly addressing the character.
Which is something new.
Which is,
also,
interesting.
One last thing I want to ask you guys before we wrap up. How many times did you end up killing Dad?
Only once. As possible.
I killed Dad like 3 times. I just kept killing Dad.
It was awesome. You are one for patricide, though.
Oh, I can't. Oh, it's a bit tasty, isn't it?
Yeah, we avoided that every chance.
Yeah,
I think.
But oh my god, because like the actual the practical effects within that was pretty gruesome.
It looked pretty good.
It looked good. It's just like literally just a chunk out of his skull that just pisses blood. It's like, no, that's well done.
Well, it's one of the advantages of when you have something that, even though it's doing this kind of fantastical plot, it's relatively grounded. It's like mostly set in like his bedroom and just knocking around his house and at the therapist's office.
Yeah.
And that's about, and like it's all relatively grounded, like the locations, and that does mean when you do something more extreme, like
it is really noticeable.
It can lend authenticity to those sort of effects and things, because suddenly the sight of blood in that situation is Like if you see like a splash of blood on like on the floor in Middle Earth, you don't recognise that as being gory per se because that's fantasy.
If you see a big pile of blood in like your kitchen, it's something different.
Yeah. The authenticity of the situation lends authenticity to the other parts of it. I personally feel anyway. It may just be because I see it as it's like it's in a British house that's in the 80s. Like
that you probably like a house that you grew up in.
Yeah, I grew up in houses that look like that, so it's very relatable to me.
Yeah, but no, do thumbs up.
Yeah,
it's good.
Give it a watch if you haven't, and somehow you don't mind the fact that we spoiled everything for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, let us know what you think about it in the comments with as least spoilers as humanly possible.
Yeah.
For anyone that has not seen it and left the podcast early.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, any other thoughts, Matthew?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool.
I think I'm going to spend some time looking through a flowchart, working out what I missed out.
Yeah, no, I can recommend.
I'm sure the one where you're talking about where someone else takes over coding, whatever that was. Like, I'm sure I did everything the same as you up to that point. It sounded like, and then we got the ending, but it just didn't carry on. So I don't know what you did differently to make it carry on afterwards. So I'm intrigued.
It's like probably like it
I
would
think
be.
it's like.
Could it be that you picked
because you chose Sugar Puffs?
Yeah, it's the Sugar Puffs.
Yeah, Sugar Puffs. That's why I got the ultimate true ending. And you guys picked the inferior breakfast cereal.
The trousers of time always end at the Sugar Puffs.
I don't know what they call them now.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us for this very special and very sexy episode of the MisanthroPod. I've been Snipe. He's been Wib.
I have been, yeah.
And he's also been
have
Drama
I?
Matt. That's not.
Is someone else controlling me?
That's not very sexy.
It's not.
What about
I don't know.
Matt
I don't know what
controlling
if that's what I'm into. I'm into a bit of being dominated by another person telling me what to do.
Okay, well, Drama Matt, are you his dom?
No.
Oh.
Oh. Okay. Well.
Okay. Well, write in
Fuck
the
me, I
theories.
guess.
It could be. He's just never asked.
Okay, Matthew. I want you to control me. You need to tell me to say goodbye.
Okay. Web, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Was that good?
That's all right. We'll do better.
Oh, you need to please
Ooh,
Master.
I like it that he's displeasing me.
Okay, say bye, Drama.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. You can't dom a dom. What am I doing? Shit.